Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in these United States of America or around the world. Yeah. As they used to say about what was it, worldwide of sports?
Yeah.
Wide world of sports. Worldwide of sports. Wide world of sports. Spanning the globe.
Wasn't that a great show?
It was. I don't know. And what was his name? Jim
McKay hosted
Jim McKay,
it.
yes. In the wide world of sports.
Jim loves sports. I got to meet him once. He was at the Tulsa airport sharing a flight with my college roommate. But, Roone Arledge started that. He was head of sports, ended up becoming head of all of ABC News.
Yeah, Roone, and I might start the recording now.
There you go.
But anyway, Roone Arledge, he was behind so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, it used to always be Wide World of Sports, produced by Roone Arledge, mm-hmm. And then he started Monday Night Football.
Yes.
I mean, basically all of the things that made ABC Sports the world leader in sports. It was Roone Arledge.
And he recruited Howard Cosell.
And Mohammed, Howard. Yeah. How are you, Howard?
Yeah.
Come here, Howard. I'm going to punch you in the face.
And Don, he did that.
I know who you're talking about, the guy with the hair.
Turn out the lights.
Don Meredith. Don Meredith. That was Don Meredith. I thought you were talking about, what's the guy in New York, the boxing Don King.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking the Black Don.
No, Howard turned against pro boxing. He told Sugar Ray Leonard, please do not go into the corruption of pro boxing.
Well, I think what it was, not so much don't go into boxing, but I think what it was, they had the WBA and then they had the IBA they had
a lot
these
of
different
belts. Yeah.
Right. They had all these belts because, some were crooked and the people with principle decided to start this new one.
And they'd get crooked.
Yeah. Well, hey, what is...
Yeah, there were like 5 belts.
What is the root of all evil?
Money.
I mean, it is money. And I want to correct that to an extent. It's not money. Mm-hmm. It's the pursuit of money.
Or love of money.
The love of money, right. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, the love of money is the root, not money is the root.
Right.
Because money can do good things, but it can sure corrupt a mind.
Money is a blessing from God, but you pervert it and corrupt it and make it your God.
Right.
Then you have problems. But and probably the most notable line from Wide World of Sports is, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. We can all still picture the guy wiping out, falling off the ski slope.
Yeah, the ski jump. Yeah. And he goes sliding off the side of the ramp. I mean, that was some agony there on that deal. But, it was probably better exemplified by the losing football team in a championship or a basketball team where you see them on the sideline and they're just
bawling their eyes out and trying to cover it up.
That's the agony, or having a towel over their head.
Yeah.
That's the agony of defeat.
Yeah.
The other one, we don't know whether he won, lost, or what place he came in. I know it hurt. It was more the pain. If they had said the pain of defeat, that might have been something,
Yeah.
But as far as agony, I think the greatest agony I've seen is in team sports where the losing team loses a tough one, And
but they did not have an NFL contract, and Rude kind of made one by convincing the NFL to do a Monday night game. That was a risky move.
Yeah.
But they had the Olympics. You remember the famous 72 Jim McKay coverage of the Munich terror, and that's kind of your hometown, right?
Munich,
it's close
we're
by.
About 30 miles from Munich, east of,
I was 18.
They did have some of the events there in Augsburg where I was. Along there. It's southern Bavaria. But that was something that will always remain etched in the minds of people in history as much as the Day of Infamy. The Olympics of 1972 when the Israelis got attacked and killed and all of that. That was quite an interesting thing. I can still picture it in my mind. I'm sure you can too. Most people, it's like if you ask someone, where were you when JFK died?
Yeah. And, a guy who
everybody knows exactly where they were.
A guy who's still broadcasting today joined ABC and handled the 1980 Winter Olympics, particularly the hockey venue. And, Al Michaels, do you believe in miracles? And
Al is getting along a bit long in the tooth. You can start hearing it and seeing it. I have a feeling he's going to be replaced pretty soon because
I remember that hockey game like it was last week. It was 46 years ago.
Yep, exactly. It's that far back, and we finally won it. Which brings us to another matter, sports related, in the Olympics. And that is the whole issue of the men's versus the women's hockey teams. Mm-hmm. It's all of a sudden, you would think that women's hockey is the greatest thing on earth, and the men's hockey, not so much, which is insane. And you know why it is? It's because the men went to the White House, and the women have not gone to the White House yet.
They were invited.
Now they've set it up for a later date.
That's a nice way of saying it's not that important.
Right. Well, no, I agree.
Because the men took a beeline and got chartered flights to get there.
Right. Well, actually, you know what they flew him on? They flew him on Trump's jet. Trump.
They got to Miami, was getting Miami to D.C. That I think Trump.
Right. He gave him this plane. And it's interesting to see how the stupid American press has handled the whole deal. They've made this, good guys, bad guys, or good girls, bad guys, because they went to see the president. Now, I'll tell you what kind of made up for it later this week, and that is the Miami soccer team, the U.S. Soccer League, USL, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's somebody with Lionel Messi and all these. Trump had them.
Yeah, he was down in Jarrell at the end of the week. He was, I think, was it? No, he wasn't.
They went to the White House. Yeah, they came to the White House.
That's right.
Because I see him. He was giving speech, and they're all standing behind him. And the only bad thing I think about it is he's giving a political speech with this soccer team standing behind him. These guys have to stand there and listen to this, and I'm thinking, I probably wouldn't have done that. He should have just kept the two things separate,
It was funny, though. He said, God, look at these good looking.
Oh, yeah, how handsome.
He says, this is what bothers me when there's a lot of good looking men. I don't feel so good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he noted. And it's true, Oh, in fact, well, no, it was a little different. I think I told you this T-shirt I saw years ago. It says, football is for men. Mm-hmm. Soccer is for intelligent men. Mm-hmm. And now you could add handsome men, Yeah,
but you know what? The best well-rounded athlete to me is a soccer player. Because the endurance, the aerobics, all of that, it's the nonstop play. You can't have a 350-pound lineman, and compare him to a Pele or Messi.
The only thing I used to feel that way, and I still think it is one of but since I've gotten into hockey, I would have to put hockey up either equal to or greater than the endurance necessary, because any of you that have ever ice skated, it's enough to skate, but to skate at full speed, start, and then turn on a dime, and you see these guys stop. And as a defender, you're skating backwards again. It's like being in a basketball where one guy's dribbling and the other guy's trying to stop him, guard him. Only you're doing it backwards. And in an instant, soon, boom, you've got to go. And, that's why they can only be in for, usually it's an average of 3 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. And then they sub and sometimes you get them 5-6 minutes, and they just say that's crazy to skate for 6 minutes straight.
Well, the puck is in play.
Right.
They're jumping in and out constantly. See, you have to call a timeout in most other sports in order to sub in. Yeah.
And the timing has to be good, because if you don't, you can get caught with too many people on the ice, and then you get a power play against you. I mean, so I have come to believe that hockey is probably, the other thing, hockey plays 83 games a year plus the preseason.
Yeah.
So you're talking like 90 games a year. Can you imagine 90 games? Baseball is enough, but baseball is not that strenuous of a sport.
It's boring.
They play 80 some games. I think it's 85.
Oh, no. Baseball's well over 100. They're like 140, but it's such a long season.
Okay.
I mean, they're all,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. They do 140. It's basketball. Basketball has the 85.
Yeah,
right.
but Eddie, remember, how many minutes of regulation are there in football? 60. How many in hockey? 60. But in hockey, it's nonstop.
Right.
Okay. You tackle a guy, the clock's still running, but you're resting up for 20 seconds for the next play.
Well, if you're Jim Brown, it's a minute and a half. I don't know if you remember when I was a little kid, Jim Brown was used to be Jimmy Brown, became Jim Brown.
Yeah.
But anyway, he would be on the ground. I said, "Dad, he's hurt." He said, "No, he's not hurt. That's just Jim Brown." And sure enough, he would drag himself off the ground, slowly walk back to the huddle. They give him and he's gone again. And he goes down. He was smart, but I finally figured out that he knew how to rest himself. Not just jump up, run back to the huddle,
Right.
He knew somehow, even back then.
Yeah, because the refs will not allow them to snap the ball till everybody's off the ground.
Right. And so he would lay there, and then you think he's injured, and somebody helps him up, and he slowly goes back to the huddle, and then boom, there he's gone again, Yeah. And
but see, in soccer, you don't get that.
No. Yeah. Okay. That's true. But the thing about soccer, having played it,
and coached
high school and collegiate, and coach, like if the ball's on the other side, and if I'm a defender, I'm walking while they're up there.
You're right, because you have to stay in your location.
Right, and then if it's on the other side, I'm kind of meandering my way up there, and then also, boom, then you go.
Yeah.
So midfielders, if you're an inside midfielder, then probably in a middle defender, then you're going to run more than everybody else. But the difference on the wingers, for example, is it's a sprint. Yeah. But then you'll have a pause for quite a while. So, so it's a little different.
Well, and especially the defensemen. Like I learned, in phys ed soccer, everybody just runs for the ball.
Right.
It's a big mob. But I learned quickly the value of staying back and helping your goalie.
Right. But the other thing about soccer versus hockey, though, is that hockey, you can rotate every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
In soccer,
you only get like what, 1 or 2 subs?
3. You get 3 subs. But and once the guy's out, he's out.
Yes.
So you can't sub. The guy's got to be dying or very. So a lot of times, what you see when they're laying it, rolling 25 times after somebody brushes them, and you think they're dead or something. Then and they'll lay there until the referee bring the stretcher, and all of a sudden, the guy pops. The guy pop up and run back into the. And with that's part of trying to get a little rest and
selling an injury foul on the other guy.
Well, yeah, but a lot of times, now they know if they're diving.
Yeah,
and now to clean it up a bit, they'll give a yellow card if you fake it.
Oh,
yeah, you'll get a warning that we're not playing that. But it's still, when you get somebody bump into you, you can then dramatize it.
Yeah, but I want to say something about this men's team versus women's team.
Yeah.
Because they're both Olympic champions.
Right.
But Eddie, masculinity is not toxic. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, radical feminism is toxic.
Right.
Okay? And we've seen the effects of radical feminism, and they turn everything into some kind of political stance. Now, you do have your, what's the guy's name? Was a quarterback for the Kaepernick, Yeah.
In fact, I've got an article about it.
But I'm sorry, that's not masculinity to me.
No.
That's victimhood. I'm a whiner. I'm so oppressed.
He is bleep whipped.
Yeah.
I mean, he a girl turned him into that girl that he's been with for however many years.
With the help of some female professors, I'd say.
Well, no, because it didn't happen until he was in the NFL for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
But this was this girl he started dating. It was this. In fact, she used to be an MTV VJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so then he got hooked up with her, and she was all about blackness. And it really makes me sick. I mean, I tell you, being biracial myself.
Yeah.
The way Kaepernick, and I don't know if you know, he was adopted.
Yes.
So he is adopted by a white couple. Okay, a white couple adopted him. He never met his mother. He doesn't know who his birth mother or father are. This couple in Idaho took him in, raised him, got him to the level where he was able to get a scholarship to the University of Nevada in Reno.
Yeah.
And then from there to make it into the NFL. And then all of a sudden, white people are the devil. To me, the hypocrisy is astounding that you could be that ungrateful. I mean, to me, that's a violation of the 6th commandment.
Yeah.
Thou shalt love thy father, honor thy father and thy mother.
Yep.
And that was his father and his mother.
Right.
Because they're the ones that raised him.
By choice.
And then he dumps on them like that. Yeah. I have no respect for Colin Kaepernick. And it's interesting that we're mentioning Colin because, believe it or not, after, 10 years now, we've been dealing with this stupidity for 10 years.
He corrupted the whole NFL.
Oh, he did. He did. But now, all of a sudden, I just came upon this here today, if my computer will warm up. And I'll just, until I find it, I'll talk about it. The Baltimore Ravens are actually considering bringing Colin Kaepernick in again, giving him another shot. I think the NFL should cut all ties, put a bullet in the head of that idea and say, it ain't happening. In fact, Goodell should probably just come in and say,
I was going to say, you really think Goodell's going to do any of that?
No. Goodell, he can't because it's a team choice.
And he's got the woke mind virus.
Well, yeah, he does. But still, if he had any gonads, as they say, he should really have stepped in and said, this isn't happening. But anyway, to get back to the main story, Colin Kaepernick has been out of football probably for 10 years. Yeah. He had one good year with the 49ers where they lost the Super Bowl. Okay. But his play has reached legendary heights. And he wasn't that good.
The next year he sucked.
Exactly. And that's when he started his shenanigans.
Oh.
And he let the entire NFL, all the black players anyway,
you see what, Eddie?
Down the path.
A lot of times they buy into it because it excuses their own failures, their own lack of excellence. By the way, this is AI from Google. Says woke mind virus. Now, see, they say it's a pejorative term used to describe a set of progressive social justice oriented ideologies that critics believe are dangerous, irrational, and harmful to society. The phrase was popularized by Elon Musk, who's described it as a threat to modern civilization. Can I give you the 4?
Wait. I want to stop for a minute. Let's rest on that one and deal with it. Elon Musk is a threat to society.
No, he popularized it.
Right.
He's described it as a threat to modern civilization.
Okay, Elon had described that. Okay, I thought they were describing Elon as a threat to society.
There's 4 parts to it. Now, this is a part I appreciate from AI. Right. 1, meritocratic, focusing on equity and identity politics rather than competence.
That's
okay?
Right. They should have just stopped there.
That's why you have cross-dressers in charge of our nuclear stockpile. Biden, and women in dress who are head of our whole, Surgeon General? Is a man in a dress.
You mean a man in a dress, yeah.
Suppression of free speech. Boy, have we seen that. Okay, because it took over all the social media platforms.
Yeah.
Listen, there was a time I thought Mark Zuckerberg was the biggest champion of free speech. Then he became the biggest threat to free speech. Okay,
but he switched. Now he's back.
Because Trump got elected.
Yeah.
Well, and he told Joe Rogan, he said, in 2024, every major election, the incumbent got thrown out. Zuckerberg was aware of this.
Right.
He saw what was going on.
Yeah.
And he kissed up to Trump because the EU was coming after him.
Exactly. He finally realized this is not good business.
Right. Okay. So suppression of free speech, cancel culture, is frequently associated where questioning progressive narratives is deemed harmful or violent speech. Right. Okay. Third, divisive identity politics, emphasizing race, gender, sexual orientation, which critics argue increases discrimination instead of getting rid of it. You're just practicing a new form of discrimination.
So far, their definitions have been pretty spot on.
It's, in my mind, I will call it vengeance racism.
That's true.
Okay.
What's the last one?
And then fourth, suppression of normalcy. Some critics argue it forces people to ignore instincts and common sense, particularly in relation to gender, medical, or educational issues.
And this is AI.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. AI broke it down to those 4 points.
Well, they pretty much nailed it.
Right. However, they had to deride it as being a pejorative term.
Well, that's for the people who only read the headline.
Yeah.
And don't actually read. Because if you read that, but then you go through the 4 parts of it, it's not a pejorative. It's the truth.
We can see it. We lived it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the woke mind virus is what's taking down the United States.
Yeah. It goes back to the reason that Black Americans got their freedom and were able to excel in the world, not just exist in the world, but have a lot of people try to think or try to make you think that it was the civil rights movement. But the greatest achievements, actual achievement by Black people was done during Jim Crow and just right after slavery.
Right. They truly earned it.
They earned it, but it's because it made them tougher. Yes. I don't know if you've ever heard the story about this child. Some kid was feeling sorry for the caterpillar in the cocoon, and it was trying to eat its way out to become a butterfly. And so he felt it was wrong for this butterfly to have to struggle. So he cut it out. He cut the cocoon, opened it up, and the caterpillar or the butterfly ended up just laying there dying because it never developed its wings or anything. But because what some people may not know, the whole exercise and struggle to get itself out of the cocoon is what gives it the muscles to fly when it gets out of the cocoon. I mean, it's amazing how God does these things. So he makes the butterfly, the caterpillar, struggle once it's morphosized and or morphed into a butterfly. The struggle it has to have to get out of that cocoon gives it the strength to be a butterfly. If that's interrupted, if it doesn't have to go through that struggle, it will never fly.
So true.
It'll die. And that's what people don't, and that's what these liberal progressives don't understand. They think that the Black struggle, the Hispanic struggle, the women's struggle, any struggle is detrimental to the success of people, but it's what actually makes a great individual.
You remember the famous in the movie, what was it about the Titans? Remember the Titans? Remember Denzel Washington, the head coach, black man, turns to his assistant coach, white guy. He says, "Why are you going soft on the black kids? Not the white kids, but the black kids." Mm-hmm. And I remember G.W. Bush phrased it correctly, the soft bigotry of low expectations. Right. And that because the coach wanted to toughen up all the kids. And the white guy thought he was being kind.
Right.
He was harming them.
Yeah. No, it's true. Just this week, I was telling somebody the story of my first day at Texas Tech. I don't know if I've ever told you this. I came from Germany, flew from Germany, and I got there early and decided to have a cab take me to campus, right?
Yeah.
Well, campus was still closed until that Monday. Oh. I mean, they're on like a Saturday. So they dropped me off in the middle of campus. Never forget this. So here I am on campus. Everything's closed. There's nobody on campus. I mean, it's just dead.
This is in Lubbock, right?
In Lubbock, right?
Yeah.
And so here I am walking across campus. I'll never forget because I'm in front of the library building. I still remember that so clearly. So I'm walking, and up pulls this Grand Prix with the horns in the front.
Longhorns, the Texas Longhorns.
Well, it wasn't just.
It was the hood ornament.
It was the hood ornament, but it was, a 10-foot wingspan on the front of this Grand Prix, which is only like 6 feet, 5 or 6 feet.
Some rancher's rich kid, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there were 3 of them. There was a driver and then 2 passengers, and they had these cowboy hats, and they were laid back on it, and
they're arriving in style,
right? And the guy and passengers, right? And so they pull up against me and come up, and they had the whole. I mean, it was the full thing, the dip, the snuff.
Oh God!
In their mouth. Like, and then they pull up to me, and one guy, he goes out spits out his snuff. Said, "What's going on, spook?" That was my welcome to Texas Tech. What's going on, spook? And what they didn't know was that me and all of my friends, all my black friends, on the military bases.
In Germany. Where you had your senior year of high school.
Well, right. But not just there. All through, just growing up, basically. Okay. We call each other spooks.
Okay.
That spook over here. Spook.
Okay.
Yeah, spook was. And so to hear these redneck cowboys talking, calling me a spook, I just start laughing. I said, and all of a sudden they look at each other thinking, "Man, this nigga's crazy. We better get out of here." Next thing, boom, the guy, and they take off and leave me alone. I mean, I think I dropped my bags. I was laughing so hard because it just struck me as funny to hear these guys. And but man, they couldn't believe it.
Well, they weren't expected. They were, first of all, it's bullying. There's 3 of them, one of you. Right. You're on their turf, and they're going to try to harass you.
Right.
And it didn't work.
Right.
They did.
Yeah, it was not the reaction they were expecting.
There's nothing in the playbook for when they laugh at back at me.
Yeah, and so of course, though, I'm the first and only black person in my dorm, and I don't know what that's gonna be like, but I'll tell you what, all of my dorm, my wing, my floor there, we were tight. I mean, it was like those were my brothers. And it was the weirdest thing. And we had this one cowboy kid had a room by himself. I had a room by myself. Somehow he got a room by himself. And so this cowboy down there, and he invited us, or invited me. He said, "Hey, man, come, you want to come to my room?" So we go in his room. He's got a lava lamp, black lights with the black light posters.
Oh, God, those were the days, early 70s.
And then he had this towel with duct tape on his sink. And then I come in there, and he locks his door, and our rooms didn't have window. They had a vent in them that you could, in the door. So anyway, he hung his towel over the vent. The towel was set with the duct to hang over the vent, and he put another towel on the floor, and he goes and gets a whole lid of marijuana out. And so we're sitting in this guy's, I mean, he was cowboys, but man, he was a hippie cowboy. It was funny. He and I were just cracking. I mean, I became the best of friends with all these kids that,
So you already had your connection on campus.
Well, yeah,
there.
but three months earlier, these were my enemy.
Yeah.
I was in the mind that these people don't like me. I'm one of the first 50 Black students ever at Tech out of 20,000 students, and the first and only one in my dormitory, and on and on. But I'll tell you, I have never in my life it's like pledging a fraternity, because all of us developed this bond that was so unique. And it's funny because all of us came there either as cowboys, or I was this totally Black kid. And by the time we got through with that year, everyone had transformed into a progressive hippie.
Yeah.
We that whole freshman class of 1969-70 ended up being hippies and radicals by the end of the semester. And some of us survived it. Some of us, one of my best friends, Bruce Michelson was his name, and he got addicted to drugs, and just it was sad. It was really sad to worry. And he came from San Francisco, well, San Mateo, California, right north of San Francisco, and he never recovered. I don't know if he survived.
Help me out here. What year was this freshman fall semester?
69.
69. Had your folks lived in El Paso prior to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, El Paso, which we know as, Texas El Paso, was called Texas Western College or
that was
University.
in 65. And they won the championship.
Right. Don Haskins famously had Black players. That was like
it was all Black. The whole team was
exactly. Black. Whole team was Black.
And they beat Kentucky.
And they beat Adolph Rupp's Kentucky team for the championship.
And Rupp, who said he would never have any Black players on the team, and right after that, he got fired, and they started getting Black players on Kentucky.
Yeah, because at one point, Eddie Sutton was their coach. That was much later.
Where? At Texas Western?
At Kentucky.
Oh, at Kentucky.
He got fired for, I guess, some recruiting violations, and then landed at Creighton, eventually Oklahoma State, where he had, just some great teams again.
Right.
But anyway, that's
traveling through history.
Yeah, it is. And, and of course, you suited up for a little bit for the football program there as a freshman, but back then freshmen had to play on the freshman team.
Right. Yeah. We didn't have a freshman play. In fact, it was the next year that they did that. And that was the year Archie Griffin came to Ohio State, and the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner in history. And then on Texas's team, they had a guy named Roosevelt Leaks. And Roosevelt Leaks was the predecessor to Earl Campbell.
Okay.
Rosie Leaks ran all over the Southwest Conference at the time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, here comes this new freshman in after Rosie Leaks, Earl Campbell. Yeah. And Rosie was like 2 years ahead of Earl, and all of a sudden, Earl Campbell. In fact, still today, I think, to me, Earl Campbell is the greatest running back I've ever managed to see. Yeah. And what happened to him, he just couldn't take the punishment that in fact, I don't know if you know, but he rides around in one of these little scooter things now, and his mind is not quite there. But it's because he hit so hard. Yeah. I'm just glad I wasn't playing anymore by the time Earl Campbell came out.
Right, because you got hurt pretty bad.
I might be riding in a scooter myself.
Well, you realize, you realize there's a difference between high school football and college.
Oh, yeah.
They hit hard. The injuries are worse.
The size of these monsters that were bred later on, and there are some people that are just naturally crazy. I mean, to the point where they have no fear, they feel no pain, and they don't mind hurting the other person. And there are those people out there, and you have, whether they're a safety or linebacker, they're usually the ones. It's the linebackers and safeties, because they have the speed and power and agility to do so.
And back then, there weren't penalties for targeting.
No. Well, you remember Jack Tatum. They call me Hitman. He wrote a book. Somebody wrote the book for him. But they call me Hitman, Jack Tatum. And he's the one that put Darryl Stingley in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Yeah. And at the time, he didn't show any remorse. But later on, they said he actually used to go visit him and try to make up for it. But that was one of the tough. That was in the NFL when he was with the Raiders. But Tatum came out of Ohio State. He was probably not if the greatest or hardest hitter, but one of the great hardest hitters ever in. So anyway, we've taken you down some memory lane for a while.
But we
back
did talk
to Colin
about
Kaepernick.
mind virus.
Right. Colin Kaepernick, to me, anybody that holds him in high esteem, I hold you in low esteem because Colin Kaepernick, he's a punk. That's all he is, a punk, spoiled punk. And the thing that really said that and really makes me mad about Colin Kaepernick and the fact that he would get any kind of glory or accreditation is what he did to his parents. The people that raised him, and then all of a sudden he doesn't want to know them anymore because they're white. You've got to be kidding me. Sixth commandment, Colin, you repent or you will pay one day. God will hold that against you.
One of the well-known symptoms of woke mind virus is when you can't stand up and clap for Donald Trump at the State of Union speech. That is the clearest evidence. That's a diagnosable fact.
Well,
if you can't clap when a little girl who's going to die from being beat up by some, illegal alien, but somehow she, some good Samaritan saves her life and she's there up in the gallery and you can't clap that she's alive.
Well, that I can give you, but not just that you didn't stand up and clap for Donald
They didn't
Trump.
clap for anything.
Well, right. So, but you got to distinguish. It was not, they didn't stand up for Donald Trump. They didn't stand up on the things that you cannot not stand up for.
Yeah.
That was just one of them.
It's a paralysis.
It's
a social paralysis.
Right.
The woke mind. If you have a loved one, a friend that you see showing symptoms, it's time for an intervention. It's time for family to be family.
Trump derangement syndrome. There's never been.
See, now that's it's mutating to a more severe form.
Well,
this is a mind virus, or what? Remember,
I think it's backwards. I think it starts out as a slight. You don't like what Trump's doing, and you just like more and more, and you finally get to the point where you can't distinguish anymore.
Yeah, I think it is. It's truly a separate virus.
Derangement.
But
You're
the
totally
one
deranged.
makes you susceptible to the other.
Yeah,
it just does. And what did Peter McCullough, the doctor from Texas, referred to a European sociologist who talked about mass platform psychosis that develops?
Well, you know what it's also called. When I was studying sociology, which I hated every minute of it.
Really?
In college, but it's the herd instinct.
Yes,
the herd
or groupthink.
Right, but that you got to go with the herd, and that's what's happened to the left and progressives. You, like me, are on Twitter.
Yeah.
There's some of the most insane stuff on Twitter is like, or X, excuse me, forgive me, X. X is, it's like a sewer. I mean, honest, I look and read X just to see where everything is at.
Okay.
But the stuff I read is some of the vilest, dumbest garbage that I can't even believe where these people make this stuff up from.
Well, one person told me those are bots. And I said, so what's the difference?
Yeah, that's true.
You basically become a bot.
Well, but no.
Don't think for yourself.
Oh, right.
You're programmed.
I'm not just talking about, the topics like Occupy. You've seen them on Facebook. Occupy has all these stupid lies. Basically, they're pulled out of context and stuff. But I'm talking about the individual people's comments on, when you're arguing with it and they come up with this stuff and you're thinking, what is wrong with you? And these are not bots. I mean, I'm talking, in fact, you've seen it when you see the videos of one of these, whether it's the Daily Caller or Fox News or even what's the new one that we watch, that everybody watch?
Newsmax.
Newsmax, yeah. So even with those, they'll go out and they'll talk to these people, and you'll see the stupidest reaction. Sure. One of them, the big one, was when Trump was almost assassinated, where he turned his head and the guy got him in the ear. Right. And they go out, and people actually have the gall to say publicly that they're sorry, they regret that the guy missed. Yeah. Or when Charlie Kirk gets shot, and you can see in the scene a guy standing up and cheering. Yeah. Instantly. Yeah. Yeah. Instantly. It shows true derangement, and the hardness of the heart of people today. Yeah. I mean, it's prophetic. I mean, honestly, it's prophetic. It's not about intelligence either. No. Because the herd mentality totally runs the medical association. Well, what does it say? Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools. They become fools. You're right. And they have put their faith in their wisdom and their knowledge versus in their creator, right? Who gives the wisdom and the knowledge. The first thing you lose when you go to college is common sense. They want to beat that out of you. Well, yeah. Oh, Eddie, see, the Army used to, this is how basic training was. They demoralize you to the point, and then they tear all of your individuality and preconceptions. They tear them to the ground, and then they rebuild you into this model of what they want you to be. And a multi-unit machine. Right. And that's what's happened in our higher education. And it's gone down into high school level now. Right. You saw the clips of Union High School, all the kids along Mingo there, they're all out there with signs protesting Donald Trump in not Afghanistan, in Iran now, in Iran. You know, all the kids are out there, protesting, and they're protesting ICE, and they're protesting this, and it's gotten to the point where it's almost unbelievable. But what it does for me and most people that are thinking, it affirms Scripture. It affirms the Bible. Like, I used to think, oh, that can't happen. We can't get an antichrist. We can't get people to be so godless or anti this or anti that. And then I opened my eyes. I remember David Wilkerson's book, The Vision, when it came out. And it talked about pornography being everywhere. This was like in 1974, I think, when he wrote that, 74 or 5. And he wrote The Vision, and is talking about that you'll be able to see pornography on television. No, come on, David, you're overboard. You're out of your mind. That's not going to happen. And then the other one was speaking about a pope, that there be a pope that opposes the true faith. Yeah. And then who's the last guy we have? Pope Francis. You see that coming, because I didn't believe the Catholic Church would persecute actual Bible-believing Orthodox priests. But sure enough, that's happened. And so, but every day as we see this, it doesn't strike fear or terror or anything. It just confirms the Word of God. Yeah. That it's true. Eddie, when you and I were baptized as infants, the Mass had to be in Latin. And now you get defrocked if you do say the Mass in Latin. Right. And I used to love the Mass in Latin. It seemed to elevate everything. It made it more spiritual. He's a holy. Adeum quiletivica juventutem meum, Dominus we mocked it. I can play dominoes better than you can. Oh, by the way, I think, I was at a funeral. I went to Philadelphia. Yes. Because I guess I missed. It was a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So anyway, I met my aunt, she's not a Huff. She married into the, but anyway, her family, I became real close to them, and she had a nephew on the other side.
Now, was this the aunt that kind of you stayed with them for a while?
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy, we become good friends. He and probably one of the reasons is that he's a retired Air Force.
Yeah.
And he still works for the VA, which was my dad did. But anyway, we just hit it out. But anyway, we were talking about singing in the choir or doing something, when you're singing and when you don't, I have to laugh when I do. And he was saying, I never could learn the words to a lot of these songs. He said, if you're ever in that, just say watermelon over and over. Yeah. So we were doing this, and he said, people can't tell on it, no matter what the song is. If you're in a group, all you just say, and I'm just dying at it. He said, yeah, just if you don't know the lyrics or don't know the word, just say watermelon. I'll never forget that as long as I live, the few years I may have left here. But it's just, I think, where did that come from? I'm however old I am, and I've never heard this before, that all I had to do is sing watermelon over and over. And I didn't have to learn the lyrics to these. Anyway, that's a free one. Yeah. So anyway, boy, we have diverged from Colin Kaepernick. Let's just put it this way. Colin Kaepernick is, to me, a despicable human being. Okay. Yeah. He turned on the parents that raised him. Instead of honoring, he dishonored his father and his mother, and he did damage to the entire National Football League and beyond our nation. And he and people like him are the ones that the progressive people in society are wanting us to lift up and appreciate. No, I refuse to do it. I will not do it. And there's a related story here. There's I think it was Alicia Gu. It's hard getting these names right. The first names are fine, and then the other one is Eileen Gu. There's Lou and Gu. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, these two young ladies competed in the Olympics. Okay. And so let me get Alicia Liu and Eileen Gu. Okay. Alicia Liu is the one who was the figure skater with the two-toned hair. Okay. Which get rid of it. Get one color. Choose what you're going to be, blonde or brunette, because to me it wasn't working. Okay. She's a pretty girl, beautiful girl, but that two-tone hair, it's like she was wearing a hat or something, Of course, when she skates, it's all tied back and up in the butt. But she won the gold in figure skating, okay? Then the Eileen Gu, she's the half pipe.
Yeah,
snowboarder, right? Who competed for China instead of America, and it's because China offered her. In a way, okay. There's two aspects to this. Okay? Yeah. Me as a patriotic American, I hate seeing an American doing anything. I don't like it in the Summer Olympics. You got all these black sprinters that are running for Puerto Rico, or running for Haiti or some other, whatever, or Africa even, because if you're an American, and I hate that the Olympics allow us to do this now, allow athletes to do this, you're born, raised, and you're an American citizen, but because you have some affiliation through your family to a foreign country, you can compete for them. Okay. To me, to have an American skiing or doing anything or running for Russia, China, Haiti, to me, that's a disgrace. And it's not legit. But anyway, so Eileen Gu, she snowboarded.
She's a U.S. citizen. Right. But her parents, I think, are of Asian descent.
Chinese.
Yeah. And
she skied or snowboarded for China. Okay. While the Alicia Liu, chose to skate for America. Okay. And so what happened, both are Bay Area natives. Gu from San Francisco, Liu from Oakland, across the bridge from me.
Across the water, yep.
Right. And she was the beautiful figure skater. She's won the world championship, and then she won the gold in the Olympics for figure skating.
Right.
So anyway, the Chinese community in Oakland is doing this big thing for her, big parade with her, featuring her and honoring her and all. And then Gu is in some parade. It's not associated with sports or anything. I can't remember what parade it is.
That's the snowboarder?
The snowboarder.
Okay.
She's supposed to be the grand marshal of some parade.
The daughter of China, yes.
Daughter of China, yeah.
Yes.
But even a lot of the, but other than that, when they announced that was a thing. But since then, all of the attention has gone to Miss Gu, the American, the one who skated for America.
Yeah.
And we should. Liu is very, I'm sorry, Gu. Gu is a very pretty girl, very beautiful.
Yeah, they're both
attractive.
Asian.
Right. And I think Liu would be more attractive to me if you just did one color hair, So,
we don't do this about male athletes.
About how good looking they are. Yeah, I guess. Bad boy. You Machiavellian, Yeah, man. Female, what is it? Female woman hater. But anyway, but no, it's just interesting. But I have mixed emotions about it. Okay, because there was somebody that did this before. It was a little different because she was outright anti-American. Miss Gu, I think she did it for the money.
Sure, she's a mercenary.
They paid her several $1 million to ski or snowboard for China.
Yeah, to me, it's the most demeaning thing you can do as a country to say, we have over 1 billion people, but we still have to go outside and hire outside help.
That's true. But to me, for her to think about the finances and take $1 million, I don't know if I have to disagree with that.
You're right.
To an extent.
You're right.
Now, it's one thing to have patriotism and skate for your country and all of that, but when money's involved and your future, the long term, because who won it in the last Olympics?
Won what?
The snowboarding.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember her name. I'm just not up on the sport.
Oh, me either.
Yeah. I
guarantee you, out of 350 million Americans, you can't have 100,000 of them that will know who won snowboarding gold medal 4 years ago. Yeah. But you invest that $1 million wisely and she can build on that.
You're right.
So
her own personal career.
Right.
And here's the thing I would do, I think she could have done to make things better, is simply tell the international press, hey, when the closing ceremony ends, watch me. Watch me.
No, but see, that ruins it all. Because you got to play. You got to play the game.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay. See if
when she finishes her obligations, she just simply takes off that Chinese jacket and pulls out an American flag and has her red, white, and blue blouse underneath, and just say, I'm still American. I just took a job overseas. It's no different than the European Basketball League that you said that Caitlin Clark could have made more money if she'd gone there.
Right. But when it came to the Olympics, she would play for America.
Olympics different, isn't it?
Right. But
because it truly is a nationalistic thing.
Exactly. And but who knows what the contract is? The contract may say,
you're right,
you can't just take out American flag.
No, you're right. Make sure your money's in the bank before you do anything.
Exactly.
But once she gets her money, if it were her, I would just say, you know what? My parents came to America for a reason, and I'm proud of my parents' decision.
Exactly. No, that's
That would have done it right there.
Well, yeah, but there's a timing thing involved too. Okay, you can't bite the hand that feeds you while they're feeding you.
But you know what? That's not necessarily biting the hand. Just say my parents. You're honoring your parents and their decision
in their motherland. My parents' motherland.
But you could say, but I'm proud to be of ethnic Chinese stock.
Well, obviously,
there's a way to do it,
right? But timing.
Yeah,
I love these times when we disagree.
But it's time for a well planned out publicity effort here.
Yeah, but honestly, Dave, I'm very patriotic. I hate that she decided to skate for China.
Okay.
Right. Well, let me just finish. Or snowboard for China. So that on the surface, I'm against it. If you're an American, you ski, you skate, you snowboard, whatever you're going to do, you luge, or you what's the thing where they throw the giant pool puck?
Curling.
The curling, yeah, down there. And you know, while I'm a purist in that sense, that if whatever country you're born in, you're a citizen of, that's the country. It doesn't care. I don't care. It's same in the soccer, okay? International soccer, the USA team. You have German guys that, some GI had a baby overseas, so he was, but he's German, raised German, doesn't even speak English hardly. Yeah. Yet he comes and he's competing for the USA because he couldn't make it for the German team.
This became famous way back. Gosh, no, it can't be Sophie Becker. Who was the gal from South Africa that when we were so up in the air about apartheid, we wouldn't let the South African runner compete in the Olympics?
As a South African.
And so she had to be part of.
She ran for England, didn't she?
England. Yeah. I forget her name, but that's the first one that comes to mind when a person jumps ship.
But there was a difference. She renounced her citizenship.
Did she?
Yeah, she became a British citizen because South Africa wasn't going to allow that. So she actually went to England, claimed British citizenship, got it. In fact, it's funny how a lot of this is related to something that happened.
Solar Bud, who I'm thinking.
Solar Bud, yeah. Yes. Oh, there you go. I remember so. But anyway, when the first time I went to Uganda, Uganda apartheid was still in force, and we had a South African guy that was with us in YWAM, and he couldn't get a visa to go to Uganda because none of the Black African nations had any relationship and would not allow a South African in. So he had to become a British citizen before he could. But Britain, being as liberal as they are, they gave him his citizenship with no problem. Any citizen in Africa that wanted to claim their British citizenship, if you're born of British parents or ethnicity in the background.
Because it had been a colony of Britain.
Right, exactly. So that's a different animal. So what I'm saying is if this girl wanted to ski or snowboard for China, they should have said you have to relinquish your U.S. citizenship. I guarantee you they wouldn't do that. How can you compete for another country when you're still a citizen of this country, and vice versa? It would be like us taking, what's his name? The soccer player who's plays for Miami now, but he Lionel Messi. So it would be like Lionel Messi all of a sudden deciding he's going to compete for America versus Argentina. In fact, you know what? Lionel Messi, this is weird. He never played soccer in Argentina. Did you know that?
Wow.
You know where he grew up?
No.
From the time he was like 12 years old, maybe even younger, because they saw Spain.
Yeah.
Spain. He grew up in Spain playing soccer for Spain all of his life. But when it came World Cup time, he played for Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of weird, that international sports has allowed that to happen, for people to do that, to jump ship from their country to another one.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just my feeling that it's not right.
I want to get back at the Zola Budd thing.
Okay.
Because now, ethnically, is she Afrikaner or does she have African?
No, Afrikaner is the Dutch. It's the Dutch.
But I'm saying in South Africa, of what ethnicity?
English.
So she was English.
Right. See, they have the reason I know this is because some of my best friends were Afrikaners.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, actually he was, and he married an English girl.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they have a real distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Apartheid, man, they were like cutting and separating all the way down, which is funny because, Asians, anything other than white was colored.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were mixed black, you were colored. If you're Asian, if you're Hispanic, if you're whatever, you're colored. You had the three levels. Apartheid wasn't just black and white.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that. It was white, colored, and black.
Mm-hmm.
And so the coloreds were above the blacks. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the whites were at the top of the heap.
Just like the Indian caste system, right?
Yep.
But, okay, so because politically, there was such an outrage at the politics of South Africa, athletes like Zola Budd were punished. The whole nation gets punished.
Right, but she did end up getting to run for England.
I understand.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But she couldn't run for her nation is what you're saying.
What are we doing for one of the most notorious cheaters in Olympic history? They can't be under the Russian flag, but they can be part of this international athletes group that we started.
And who is that?
People from Russia.
Oh, coming over here to skate.
No, competing in the Olympics as a unified athletes United team. There is a separate category. They just can't have anything to do with the Russian government or country.
So
that still goes on. That's been going on.
Wait a minute, I've never heard of that.
It's been going on for the last 6-8 years.
There's an Athletes United.
Yeah.
So it's Russians that have left Russia that want to still compete.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. It's called, let's see, competing as individual neutral athletes, AINs, due to the IOC suspension of the Russian Olympic Committee following the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Now it's that. See, it had been about the drugging. The
steroids, right?
Yeah. So there is that. Now, to me, that's the politics. In Olympics, the World Olympic Committee has all kinds of corruption.
Yeah. It's
And you literally buy their vote on awarding the Olympics. That's why, remember, Obama went to there to make a pitch for Chicago to get the Olympics. And the first thing they did was vote him down straight. They were all bought off. And the Utah Salt Lake City Olympics, there was so much corruption in that. So
who was the organizer of that?
Well, yes.
Yes. Go ahead. Say the word. Say the name.
Mitt Romney was asked by the city of Salt Lake City to organize the event.
Right.
Okay. So once they got awarded it, he made it happen. Now, he bragged about all the ways he twisted and got government grants and federal money for it. And he's not a small government Republican, believe me.
No.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But anyway, should Puerto Rico be able to compete separately and independently?
Well, see that you're getting me into it because that is an issue with me. I think Puerto Rico either needs to be American or they're not.
Yeah.
None of this, like the girl, one of the people that I was reading about as an example of this same thing with China is a sprinter, the 100 meters girl. No, 100 meters, that's the Haitians. there's a Puerto Rican who grew up and lives in New York City, black girl, but she has Puerto Rican ties. She runs for Puerto Rico.
Oh, of course.
She never lived there.
Oh, most of their basketball players are not from Puerto Rico. They live in the United States.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, you can't, it's even worse there because if Puerto Rico wants to compete internationally as Puerto Rico, then they should not be considered as a U.S. territory.
Well, they should vote for independence and petition the United States to grant it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's up to the United States Congress to decide.
I don't think that U.S. Congress would have a problem with it. I think we would cut them loose in a heartbeat, but they don't want to do that.
Right.
They want the American money, but they want to be considered their own deal. Sorry, you just can't have that. You just cannot. It'd be Hawaii. Hawaii wants to have its independence, but we want American benefits. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. They've got to clean it up because it's turned into a big scam.
Yeah, and the whole thing of them ostracizing Russia over Ukraine. The Olympics is supposed to be apolitical. The Nazis, Hitler in Germany had the Olympics in Germany with the Führer sitting up there, and everybody, rooting for his Aryan athletes, and we still had the Olympics. Okay, so why can't we let the Russians be Russian and just beat them in the Olympics?
Yeah,
that's the whole. See, we're denying the whole premise of Olympics. They're supposed to be apolitical.
Oh, yeah. What a joke. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. It just shows how ridiculous it is and the games they're playing.
Yeah.
It's again, we brought up soccer, the World Cup. The World Cup is another thing where, they're playing. In fact, they got in a bunch of trouble. Remember the council that runs international soccer, just corrupt as can be, just totally corrupt.
Yeah.
And it just irks me that we as citizens allow them to put up with that.
But this pay for play and it's stuff about the snowboarder and all that, it's getting about as bad as college athletics. And Trump had to convene a big roundtable yesterday on that. In fact, your buddy, Cody Campbell, your sugar daddy for Texas Tech, played a big role in yesterday's event.
Long live sugar daddies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He was right next to Brent Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, was there, and, Cody's, because he's the one coming up with the money to make his alma mater that he's very proud of, Texas Tech, competitive.
But see, here's the thing about it. Exactly. But here's the thing. He is doing legally what others have been doing under the table for decades.
The Southern Methodist boosters.
Well, I'm going to...
Of 40 years ago.
I'm just not going to go there, but there are teams in, USC. States of Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, that... Oh, and even more so, probably Michigan and Ohio, that people don't see. I don't have a problem with USC because that was exposed. It was out and open. Everybody pretty much knew about it. But the thing, they took away Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy.
A separate organization
doing less. Well, the Heisman, but it doesn't matter. It's all.
There's the New York Athletic Club.
Right. It falls under the same deal.
Yeah, most people think the NCAA did that.
Right,
they did.
But it doesn't matter. I'm just saying in principle, why would you take Reggie's thing because his parents lived in a house, okay? His parents had a house that cost $100,000 a year to live in. Wow. But when you've got other people in other conferences that have been getting paid forever. Yeah. And, I'll tell you a big one was LeBron James. That is the biggest scam.
No, wait a minute. He bypassed college.
He did. But before he went into the NBA, he was already a million. In fact, I remember the big stink was they bought him an Escalade, not an Escalade, what do you call it? A Hummer. He's, 16, 17-year-old kid driving a Hummer. Mm-hmm. And his parents couldn't afford,
right?
The proverbial
I mean,
pot.
we see that, in Tulsa here, all of a sudden, poor boys from, North Tulsa, all of a sudden their family lives in Jinx, and boy, can they run for Jinx,
Yeah.
And,
but it's just, so to me, the hypocrisy that has taken over sport, well, almost everything in America, there are no. It was if we had no bad morals, we'd have no morals at all.
Yeah, it's true. But I tell you, a lot of it happens independent of the schools. I mean, your friend of mine, Bill Blankenship, said, when you get the kind of success we do, you have to fight to keep the corruption out. You're not recruiting. They're recruiting you.
Yes. It's a reverse thing.
They will take down your whole program just for the chance to make a name for this. We saw that with the kid from the Virginia Military Institute.
Well, yeah, but that was, what happened there. Union didn't get punished. Jinx paid that price.
Well, that was, Jinx doing that.
Right, because...
But Bill was defending Jinx to me when he said that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I understand. I just want people to be clear and understand what happened there, that he came here to play for Union, then all of a sudden the grass looked greener at Jinx, and they decided to jump over there, and it exposed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Jinx never should have. Now, the reverse situation where they never should have punished him is the guy who from North Tulsa wanted to play, and then his mother moved there, and somebody paid or got her a job.
That was David Alexander. I know that personally.
Okay.
David and I talked about that in his kitchen.
Right.
And he said, I'd do it again.
Yeah. I mean, see, stuff like that, if you're trying to, I'll give you a smaller example, okay? Mm-hmm. I started a North Tulsa Soccer League, okay? Yeah. And kids that have never played them. And when I started, it was under 8s through under 10s. We just did from 6 years old, basically to 10. And these kids, oh my goodness, the parents, I mean, just to see what it did for these kids. Well, we had one little kid. He was like 6 years old, but he was playing with 8-year-olds, and he was dominating. And he was playing in tennis shoes. He didn't even have soccer. He couldn't afford cleats. And yet he was just phenomenal. Well, okay, so we ended up getting him into a club in South Tulsa. And, but, the guy didn't have money. In fact, what happened, the kids didn't like him on the South Tulsa team because he stank.
Sure.
Why did he stink? Mm-hmm. It's because his mother had 4 kids from 4 different fathers.
That's poor parenting.
And not only that, but here's the deal. She made him sleep in the garage with the dog.
Yeah. So
he smelled of dog urine and everything.
Yeah, dog licking him. Hey, you get love from somebody.
Well, yeah, this wasn't saliva. Let me check.
Yeah.
So anyway, and so the other kids didn't like him.
Yeah.
So one week we went to this tournament in Arkansas. I may have told this story. It's worth repeating. Okay. And so the other people had been there. Well, I was going to get there late because I picked him up after school on a Friday. Beforehand, I went to Target and bought all new clothes, underwear, T-shirt, shorts, pants. Took him home, and I said, okay, you're going to take a shower. Took him to my house. My wife was out of town. Okay, you're going to take a shower, and when you come out, and put your clothes out here, throw your clothes out here. So he threw his clothes out. I put them all in a plastic bag, wrapped them up, and threw them in the garbage, and had these new clothes waiting for him. And so and tennis shoes. Oh, his shoes smelled so bad. I mean, you cannot believe a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid's feet could smell that bad. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so he got the clothes changed. So we get to Arkansas where this tournament was, right? Mm-hmm. And the other kids, one of the moms, hey, so-and-so is here.
Mm-hmm.
And, the kid, and you could tell, he was shy to go in there. And he had already been on the team for like 6 months.
Proved himself.
Still, they didn't
socially, they didn't
like him.
Yeah.
And so, but he went in, freshly washed, showered, hair, everything, and brand new, clean smelling clothes. And then he went in, it transformed him and the team and all those other kids. All of a sudden, because, the one mom, she said, oh, they're so mean to him. Why do they treat him? I said, because he stinks. That's why. I mean, it's a natural thing. Wasn't when we were kids, he's got cooties or she's got cooties. Yeah. It was somebody that was poor and smelled or whatever. But anyway, it totally changed him, his lifestyle, everything. All of a sudden, they loved him, and he was part of the team now. Yep. And so that's, I don't remember how I got here, but athletics and Olympic athletics and the rules, to me, they don't work for,
the recruiting
they work
thing.
Against.
Because, you were making a better life for this boy.
Hoping to.
Who really needed help to become the best he can be. Right. And should you be punished? I mean, David told me, he said, I'd do it again. And he says, well, wait a minute. I'd go tell my athletic director what I'm going to do. And I do. In other words, I dare my athletic director to stop me. And
well, see, to me, I don't know whether timing was involved or whatever, but to me, he could have done the same thing, but done it a different way.
Of course.
That was more legit.
Well, and so what I told him, because the guy, this kid from Virginia Military Institute, stayed with Red Griffin, who's a friend of mine at this point in church, years later. And one Saturday, we're doing a work day at the church campus. And I said, David's coaching for Broken Arrow here now. I said, man. So I called up David and I said, David, remember when you told me you'd do it again? About the boy whose family needed. He said, yeah. I said, well, my son, Charlie. Oh, yeah. And I said, well, he's youth pastor here at Destiny Church. I'm going to send you his information that next time you have a situation like that where they need help, contact my son. Let's see what the church can do to help you keep your job. Now, David never had to implement that again, but it was nice for David to have that, because you allow an outside organization to do the humanitarian work. And maybe that's an impetus. Church, rise up, do your part, partner with the schools.
I think they've changed the rules now. The transfer rules and stuff, and where kids can go to school.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's so corrupt.
I think they've taken some of the corruption out of it see, the way you do it is you just open it up, and the law is only the law when it's the law. Because you can have the same, in other words, like alcohol was against the law. We have no law now, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I think it's a good thing necessarily, because you don't have to make people cheat anymore.
Right.
And see, what I don't like about the way things used to be under Barry Switzer, under certain other, Darrell Royal, some of these coaches at these other schools, where they were skirting the rules and the law underhandedly. Even at Texas Tech, I remember a friend of mine, Danny Hardaway, he was from, where is Fort Sill? Out west, Lawton. He was from Lawton, and he was the first black player at Texas Tech, running back. And I used to, he was like 2 years ahead of me, but we used to hang out. And Danny, after a game, he would go to his locker, and there'd be $200 in his shoes, in his dress or tennis shoes when he got through with the game, rewarding him for a good game. And his sugar daddy he had this Oldsmobile 225 and deuce and a quarter, we call it.
I think it was 224, wasn't it?
I think it was 225.
A friend of mine had a 224.
Was it 225?
Or was it 442 or something like that?
No, 442. That's an Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a different Oldsmobile.
Okay.
The 225 was a big luxury car.
Okay, yeah.
And his sugar daddy would let him drive this thing. But anyway, so you were making them do that, and it was always a little sleazy, you know. You had to sneak around and stick $200 in this kid's shoes to do, you know, and you had it at OU, you had it at probably at OSU, you know, you had it at Alabama, wherever it was. Mm-hmm. And now the good thing is it's just more competition.
Yeah, let's try to wrap this up because there's a lot of stories here.
Yeah, we better get in. I've got to get out of here early.
I want to give you the basis here of what happened yesterday. So the universities, big universities all said, you know, we've lost so much money. I think Penn State mentions that they lost like $500 million
on the NIL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Their athletic program lost $500 million. So it's not sustainable. It's got to be, and it's got to happen soon. And Cody Campbell has said essentially the same kind of thing. What Cody is notorious for being the big oil man who's come up with the biggest amount of money.
$43 million.
In Texas Tech, it shows,
it's
right?
Elevated the program,
right. Yeah. And so what's happening, he just uses, this isn't sustainable. And we saw what happened at Oklahoma State, who never tried to play that game.
Right.
They ended up firing their coach because he couldn't compete.
Well, he didn't want it. He didn't like it.
He didn't want to compete. Right. And not just any coach. The longest current head coach in Division I, you know, Mike Gundy. You know, so anyway, it way underfunded. They don't have nearly the budget that OU had. But so they're saying this just isn't sustainable. Then they talked about all the other things it's doing academically. The transfer portal is really hurting academics.
Oh, yeah, sure it is.
Because they're not finishing their credits and this and that. It's not feasible. Typically, the old system was you get a scholarship. It includes 5 years enrollment so that you can compete 4 years. Either you do your red shirt freshman year, or if you go straight in after you're done, you still have another year that you're enrolled in the school to finish out your degree. So academically it's certain. What's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. The Alabama coach, a legendary.
Saban.
Yeah. Coach Saban.
Nick Saban. Yeah.
Nick said, you know, the kind of character development thing that a coach can uniquely provide, that it just doesn't happen with other college professors and faculty. The kind of intense development. You learn teamwork. You learn leadership and things like that. When they're jumping from school to school, they never get that. They never get that identity as I'm part of the Texas Tech football legend, right?
Well, it depends.
Because they're jumping all over.
Yeah, but it depends. If you've got the right school environment and the team environment and everything, they can develop that very quickly. So, for example, if you didn't like the school you were, let's say, see, to me, it's all on the coach and the athletic director, what type of environment they create to welcome or just be a 9-to-5 job.
Here's the thing. The transfer portal by itself could be fine if there wasn't the money sucking them into it. And he said I forget who it was, said, look, I've been in pro athletics, one of the guys around table. He says, I've worked with agents. So your typical pro agent gets about 3, sometimes as much as 5%. He said these college agents are sucking up to 20%.
Well, yeah, but the way it works, your agent fee is generally 10%. In management, it's 15%. So if you're an agent and the manager, then you get 25.
So you got all these new growth industries getting in and sucking in. And he said,
lawyers,
you're watching kids get pressured to enter transfer portals,
right?
Because that agent wants to, who knows? I might, strike
in the stock market, it's called churning.
But he says maybe 40% of those that go in end up homeless, in the sense of nobody picks them up.
Okay, all right, but see that to me in itself is not an excuse or reason not to have the portal, because when Alabama and Georgia, OU in the old days, Barry Switzer with the top 5 athletes in every position,
right?
They would sign up to OU.
Not disagreeing with you.
And only one make it.
Again, it's not the portal that's a problem. It's the big money luring them in. I agree with you. If you sign up and you regret this deal, being locked in for 4 or 5 years just to sit on a bench because your coach doesn't like you and he's pressuring you to give up your scholarship. I've seen that happen. Well, and it's hell.
Tim Gill.
Yeah.
And Rocky or you.
And so you want, and it isn't necessarily, you're jumping out, something. You just want an environment you don't hate, because some of them have that. So I agree with that. The portal, it's the money that is the pressure to build a portal.
Right. There's one thing that I have a problem with in the portal.
Okay.
It's not the portal. It's not them getting paid, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. My problem is who gets paid what. Mm-hmm. I think the way to deal with it is to standardize or maximize the amount that you get.
That was, everybody gets the same amount.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. My son's a guard or a tackle, okay? And so somebody figured, he's worth $10,000, $15,000 a year, maybe $100,000 a year. He's blocking, putting his whole future career and everything on the line for this running back who's getting $1.2 million, or the quarterback getting $6 million, right, as Manning is getting at Texas, $6 million, $6 to $8 million. So here's the guy up here who's getting beaten to smithereens every week. Yeah, to pay this guy $6 million. Now you've gone from the amateur athletic to it's pro style. So if they said that everybody, and this is how Cody Campbell and them got started at Texas Tech. The way it started, they put money in a pot, and every player, no matter what position, got $100,000. Yeah, okay. That's the next part of this I want to talk about. Barry Switzer argued, when you got guys who are having to wash their underwear in the dormitory bathroom sink because they don't have quarters for the laundromat, he says, that said, you got to have some kind of stipend. And I think everybody there said, Donald Trump was pretty generous in what he threw out there. He says, maybe $30,000, $40,000 a year, cap it at that. Everybody gets it. You cap it at that. Urban Meyer jumped on that in his comments. He said the parts that universities are involved in should be separate from outside funding, such as Facebook or, whatever. You take, what's her name? The gal, the LSU gymnast. She was getting paid while in high school, but it wasn't for her athletic performance. She was a social media influencer. And Urban Meyer said, do not touch that. In fact, set it free. It doesn't cost the university a dime when they get that, and let them continue to do that. Give them their freedom. Don't take exclusive ownership of them. Libby Dunn is her name. Libby Dunn, thank you. And everybody knew who Urban Meyer was referring to, but he didn't mention her name. But he says, leave that be. The only part the university is supposed to be involved in is that which comes in and is this outside funding source
that they distribute. And he said, and the rule is that's to be distributed evenly. And he says, we're not enforcing it.
No, and that's what I'm in favor of, a uniform. So the offensive tackle, guard, center, the punter, they all get the same amount of money.
If you make the roster.
Because if they can have a season career-ending injury, just like everybody, either that or you do an insurance policy on all these kids that everybody has at least $1 million accident and health insurance policy, so that if they have a career-ending, because that used to be the thing.
That's a valid point.
Peyton Manning, for example, I think it was, and a lot of these quarterbacks would get these $10 million insurance policies with Lloyd's of London or somebody, that if they had a career-ending injury, they got $10 million. Right. And see, that to me is more beneficial even than the salaries, just to show that, if I'm have the potential to make umpteen $1 million in the NFL, but I get injured, I'm not left out in the cold. So
Brian Bosworth tapped in on that. He had a career-ending injury, but
he was already in the pros when he had it, right? But
the beautiful thing about that is it's tax exempt because it indemnifies you against a loss. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this is my point. I think they're pretty close on this. I think what they need is just a league cap, if you will, a salary cap. And everybody gets paid the same as an athlete. You make the roster, this is what you get.
But you're going to end up with here. In theory, that's good. And in theory, I agree with it. The problem you're going to run into, though, is you're going to go back to the same schools ruling at the end of the day. And you're going to get people still cheating, paying under the table again. More than that, and so to me, it's more fraught with issues. Mm-hmm. I think they should do like Tech did, set a minimum. Okay. In other words, everybody gets at least $100,000. Mm-hmm. You have a blanket insurance policy to protect all the players in the event of a career-ending injury. Okay. All of these things. But then, if you have somebody, it's just capitalism that if you're a running back that has more value than the defensive, a linebacker that plays, unless he's the stud,
Right.
But that everybody has this minimum income, whatever, then you see, we've set up football so differently from the way the world does it. Like soccer, there is no high school soccer internationally.
Right.
They don't have your club.
Yeah.
And so you'll have a 16-year-old making $1 million, $2 million a year because he's just a phenom. Okay.
Right.
Whereas we don't have that kind of in basketball now with AAU versus NCAA.
Yeah.
Like LeBron and those guys, they play in that AAU league. And they're getting paid. They get free uniform, shoes, travel, per diems, et cetera, from the time they're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And that's why they'll go to college and play 1 year because they want to be seen. It gives them another year to develop.
Right.
And then they go into the NBA.
Right. Well, here's the thing. The outside, Eddie, this point, I'd like you to address it. Whether they're a social media influencer, a spokesmodel for some cosmetic line, fashion line, whatever. Mm-hmm. I take Eduardo Najera, former OU basketball player from Mexico. Okay. He probably is worth more commercially in a Southern university than he would say in Portland or Nebraska or something like that. Because of his social media following. Right? He was hugely popular in Mexico. All of a sudden, they started following NCAA basketball. And OU got a windfall on that.
It's funny because I don't know if you've seen the ads now with Blake Ewing.
Okay.
Doing commercials. He is. I mean, I couldn't believe it. In fact, my wife, I saw him first, and then my wife saw him later, and she too was just amazed at how good of an actor he is. In these, they're kind of comedic commercials. I don't even remember who they're for right now, to be honest with you. But he's just gifted and talented as an individual. And, if they made it, because one of the things athletes are barred for nowadays, they don't really have time for it anymore. But if they allowed them to, well, I guess they're starting to do it, allow them to do commercials, right? If somebody wants to do a commercial, somebody wants to hire Arch Manning or whoever.
Are you talking the city councilor, Blake Ewing?
No. Blake Griffin. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, Blake Ewing. Yeah. Who knew? He's a basketball phenom.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin. I'm sorry, Blake Griffin. Everybody. Great kid. Great person. But it just raised a question, as I mentioned. What happened to his brother? He had a brother that played too.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think to wrap this up, Dave.
Yeah.
Let's say this. A workman is worthy of their hire.
Yeah.
An athlete should be worthy of what he contributes, or she. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why Livy Dunn was the second highest paid athlete behind Arch Manning. And this pitcher for Texas Tech, the pitcher that was getting $1.2 million to pitch for Tech. She came from Stanford.
Oh, yeah, Kennedy.
Yeah, right. And so there are people that are just worth more than the others.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
so
obvious.
To me, rather than try to cap that or stop it, I mean, there probably realistically has to be a cap. But what is that? Because what will happen, see, what I'm afraid of, all of a sudden, Texas Tech, Indiana, certain schools that you never had competitive. Tech and Indiana were never in the NCAA playoffs, right? They were never at the end.
In football?
In football, right.
Indiana's basketball.
Well,
yeah.
right. Well,
yeah.
But I mean, in football. Football, they never.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, they're there.
Yeah.
So instead of limiting the competition, it has expanded the competition.
It's who's hungriest.
Well, yeah.
You're willing to pay out the
paying out, right. There you go. And see, to me, OSU should have enough oil money to be able to match these other schools.
I don't think Cody Campbell wanted to keep doing this. I think he's there saying, hey, let's come up with a better system, even though he's dominating this.
Well, and he played. He was actually a former player.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
He played for Mike Leach. Yeah. So, and I don't know if he really, I just don't know if he really means it. I think he's saying that to make them not, because there's so much heat on him because of how much money.
You're right.
$63 million or $43 million, whatever, in this pot.
Yeah.
Versus the others. Everybody, and maybe he's trying to take the heat off of himself.
I could tell other people were saying things after him, and he's just kind of staring, looking at this. He says, I know they're talking about me. He's not even going to give eye contact.
Yeah, and to me, more power to you, Cody. If you love your school as much, then if other people, then let them put up.
So I just here's the last part I wanted to get to this. So at one point, Trump starts getting long-winded, as Trump can do sometimes, and Ted Cruz happened to be invited to it. He kind of interrupts Trump and goes, yes, go ahead, Ted. Realizing, yes, thank you, Ted. I needed to shut up. And Ted starts talking about, he says, look, Mike Johnson got this thing, the SCORE Act, got it passed in the House barely. And if we're going to get closure, we need 7 Democrats to join the 53 Republicans, assuming we have all 53. So we don't even have 1 Democrat. And then Trump and Cruz start bashing the Democrats and and you got all these college university people here, not known for being, red country mega strongholds. Instead of bashing them, what Ted and Trump totally missed is you could have turned these guys, you could have turned to Charlie Baker, the head of the NCAA, and say, you know what? The Democrats in Congress owe a lot to your institutions. And it's time they cared about your institutions' fiscal responsibility and ability to continue to grow. And I'm asking you as university people, college sports people, NCAA, all of you, get with your border regions, get with your college presidents and tell them this is in their best interest and have them pressure the Democrats in the Senate. That's what they should have done.
Well,
instead of just bad mouthing them.
Well, there's two ways to think about that. In a way, at least they're pointing out that the reason people aren't getting paid or it's not equitable or it's whatever, it's because of the Democrats. We can't get the Democrats behind it. And so bash them. I mean, the Democrats don't hold back on Republicans. For
if you care about the issue, though, not about the politics, but the issue, and you want a solution to a problem, you find a way to motivate the other side to come join your side.
But politics has gotten, and issues have gotten to the point where people don't just rationally listen to sound issue.
And you think higher
policy.
ed would be the people who are rational.
But who's the worst?
I know.
Who's the most?
Much learning hath made thee mad.
Right. And so, and you're dealing with an academic institution or institution of institutions that is on the side of the Democrats generally, on the scholastic side or the other non-athletic side. And so they really, deep down, Democrats hate athletics. They hate.
Oh, yeah. It's antithetical to everything that they're about.
Exactly. They don't think that,
they want DEI to take over it.
Right. Exactly. And so it needs to be pointed out where the issue is. If we're going to fix this, it's got to be these people.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if the woke left, the woke mind virus had their way,
sleepwalking,
you would start a basketball game with a certain number of points on board, depending on how many specific minorities are represented on the roster. Yeah. It'd be a handicap by who you are and how many boxes you check off.
Yeah. No, you're right. But see, it's backwards thinking. They don't think that way. They're a bunch of petty, hateful, spiteful, jealous, like most of the Democrats. Mm-hmm. I remember Rush Limbaugh when he had his TV show, was talking about, the great, I don't remember how he couched it, but at the end of the show, he played the academic and the athletic abilities of the various presidents. And you went all the way back to Roosevelt. You had all the presidents. Then you
Gerald Ford running back for Michigan.
Well, even went back to Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Eisenhower at West Point, so. And then it got to Clinton, and it showed him in a band uniform.
Marching band.
Yeah, marching. and then Carter, and you had Reagan was a football player. Everybody was a football player up until Clinton. Clinton was the first non-football player. Well, maybe FDR because of his polio. But anyway.
We got to talk about Kristi Noem and that whole issue.
More than that, Iran.
Okay.
What's going on with Iran? Let's start there. Let's move to that. So we've been attacking Iran now for, I guess it's a full week.
Eighth day,
right, starting the second week. And it's so funny, again, I hate to keep having to do this, bash the Democrats, but they with too much money, too much time, too much.
It's a forever war.
Yeah, it's a forever war.
Don't talk about Ukraine, though.
Yeah. That's a perfect example. Right. This 8 days is a forever war, but Ukraine was necessary. Right.
Yeah. We got to keep funding them.
Right. So, Trump, it's like, I don't know. It truly is. He's playing chess when they're playing checkers,
Yeah.
And 3D chess at that. But like, for example, the insurance company, Lloyd's of London and others, all of a sudden, they don't want to insure ships going through the Straits of Hormuz, right? So what does Trump say? We've got you covered.
Scott Bessent came up with that. Brilliant move, Scott.
Right. Now, you know what's going to happen. All of a sudden, Lloyd said, whoa, wait a minute. We're not making any money. If this is happening,
no commissions.
Exactly. No commissions, no money. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, if the shipping lines start getting paid by the government, they don't need us. And then, you're going to. So in so many areas, we're seeing people change their minds. The internet carriers, in multimedia and all of these people that are starting to come to Trump's side after seeing what Biden did to him over all of those years, So anyway, but that's a big issue now. And but here's the thing that I think we need some clarification on, okay? Israel, this is really was a battle between Israel and Iran. And then we jumped into it, but it's all of a sudden like, instead of backing and supporting Israel, it's like us now taking the lead in trying to get rid of the Iranian.
I want to be careful about being exclusivist that either it's Israel. You know what? Israel, more than anyone else, Israel is threatened most. Just saying.
Exactly. And they should have the lead. And initially it was portrayed as a lead, but it's morphed into this thing that Israel is one of those, at risk. And yes, we're at risk because Iran is developing a missile to make it all the way to the U.S. and definitely to Europe.
Yeah, it's you know how Jesus you talked about the parable of the woman who gave 2 mites, and Jesus said she gave more than all these others. She gave out of her need, and that. I think it's proportional what you should expect out of different entities. What is their potential to contribute, and how much of it are they giving? Remember, Trump just saying to NATO, just 5%. Spain still won't do that, right? But he got everybody else to. We're still paying more than anyone else, and we're okay with that. It's a percentage thing, So that's the principle I want to talk about. Israel doesn't have the capacity to contribute what the United States can.
Well, actually, I have a different view of that.
Okay.
I think Israel has the wherewithal and the potential to wipe Iraq off the face of the earth. But to keep that from happening, I think the U.S. is stepping. In other words, I guarantee you, it's pretty much known Israel has a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
So Israel could drop an atom bomb, boom, over Tehran and just wipe everything and everybody out all at once. But they won't do that. And they have other capabilities. So the U.S. stepping in is actually doing a favor to the Middle East by holding it to a proportion.
Well, look how far we've come, because the first Gulf War, Bush Senior had to do everything he could to keep Israel out.
Right.
Because he had the Arabs nations aligned. But as soon as Israel gets involved, all of a sudden they say, this is a war against the Jews. That's why Saddam kept throwing scuds at Israel. He was trying to provoke him. Finally, we had to give him a Patriot missile system when one of the scuds actually did damage. Now you see Israeli forces side by side with Qatari and Saudi and Kuwaiti. That's a huge progress.
It is.
Okay. So that's happening. What I think is, look, Democrat, Republican, like going all the way back to Bush Senior, they've all said that that Iran can never be allowed to have a nuclear missile because they are fatalists.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Obama actually.
They are wacko. I don't agree with anybody ever using the nuclear weapon because it's lights out for humanity. According to almost every model, everybody says there's no way for it to stop. It just, the whole world becomes a cockroach colony. And so I think we've got a lot going on there. And you've got Iran stupidly bombing neutral neighbors, bringing them into the war.
Yeah, that is weird.
What really is getting attention here, and thank God they are, is the Kurds. Because if you think it's an injustice that the Jews never had their homeland when they had 18 million population, and they got to have a homeland, it's double that with the Kurds. Because they are double the population and nobody will give them autonomy. And they are making, now they have a certain amount of self-government, but I believe northern Iran should have a carve out as Kurdistan.
Well, northern Iran, southeastern Turkey, and then Kurdistan, all of those areas should.
I will just celebrate incrementalism, say start with a little slice along the Caspian Sea, way up at the top of Iran, and say, call that Kurdistan and give them a home.
Why there and not Turkey? Because they've been at
spoils of war, Eddie.
They've been at odds with Turkey much longer.
You know what? I think Turkey might see that as a solution to get the Kurds out of Turkey.
Oh, you mean to give them a part of Iran?
Give them a reason to leave.
That's
give them a homeland.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people thought, great, Israel ought to be their homeland just to get them out of our neighborhood, because there was that kind of anti-Semitism. I mean, until recently, there were more Jews in the United States, actually at one point more Jews in New York
City,
than in all of Israel. Now Israel has a population of about 7 million. When I was a kid, they were less than 3 million. And there was more Jews than that in the New York greater area, metro area. So, I'm happy to see that development. I'm hoping the Kurds. My dad fought side by side with the Kurds in the Korean War. They were under Turkish forces. But he said, my dad says to me several times, I've never seen more fierce fighters.
Yeah, my dad said the same thing.
The Kurds.
What they would do, but they fought under the Turkish.
Yeah.
But my dad would tell me that if they caught somebody breaking and stealing or whatever in Korea, that they would take them and put a bar through the skull from ear to ear.
Oh, vicious.
And they would hang them
at
the gates of this will happen to you if you come on here and try to steal.
Vicious. Yeah. My dad ended up with PTSD after serving.
Serving with the Kurds.
Yeah. But if you got any more, Mullin, what's going on in politics, Oklahoma is huge right now.
Yeah. Well, let's just wrap up. So we've been in a week, a little over a week, a day over a week, and already you got people whining.
We're bogged down in a forever war.
And it just shows the hypocrisy and the lunacy of the mass media.
Yeah.
And how they've been co-opted. And I go back to the thing I've said forever, or a question I ask after the fall of the wall, which is not just the Berlin Wall, but basically the entire Iron Curtain. I guess I should say the falling of the curtain. Where did those communists go?
Mm-hmm.
Where did the communists go? They weren't raptured, people. We know that much. So I believe many of them ended up assimilating into the Western governments,
especially academia.
Yep. And now not only that, but you've got a combination of the communists and the Islamists. So you've got this total anti-Christian, anti-America, anti-Western civilization, two cultures that are running the educational academic programs from high school down into high school now, probably soon into junior high.
Yeah.
All the way up through university level. And it's got to stop. We have got to somehow put an end to that. So, okay. So next, you want to discuss?
Yeah, we got to start with Noam. No,
state. Well, yeah, how it affects. I
want to take it from the top down.
Okay.
And I want to remind Eddie, I forgive you for wanting Kristi Noem to be Trump's running mate. You were saying it was going to be Kristi Noem. She's really showed her weaknesses here, and her self-promotion is probably what took her down. That ad campaign with her on the horse and stuff.
Yeah, but see, I look at it differently. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly if that was her idea. That could have, because see, when you're at that level, you got all kinds of people advising and multimedia people and people that have these great ideas that turn out not to be such great ideas. I'm not saying it was a good idea. It was a very bad idea.
She did it with South Dakota politics. She was doing all those ads with her face in front of it, about there's jobs in South Dakota.
Well, and maybe she's using the same ad.
All politicians do it. They love that publicity.
Here's the big problem. How much was spent on it?
$250 million.
Yeah,
almost 220.
Okay, I heard $330 million. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous for that much money. Have you ever seen one of those ads?
Fox News got a bunch of them.
Oh no,
I saw a few of them with her on the horse and stuff.
Oh, so you saw the ad not just recently since this has come out and they're showing everybody.
Yeah, you're right. I don't remember. I just saw recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how did you spend $330 million, and I've never seen the ad until now.
But here's the thing: how this came about. It was a hearing in a Senate committee oversight, and Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, a very reliable Republican, team player, and he just very quietly asked these questions. I think the Trump administration said, hey, you've got to bring this up. And I think Trump already had their ducks in a row to make this change because it happened fast. Mm-hmm. Now, you're a personal friend of Mark Wayne Mullin. I don't see Mullin as that kind of a rash person who would jump at it and have all the ducks in a row overnight. Because this hearing happened on a Wednesday. By Thursday, he's already got the timeline set. He already made his decision. His wife, and he's got a good staff and that, and you just don't do those kinds of things without making some prudent, conscientious decisions.
Right.
So I think Trump pulled the lever and used the ad thing as just the final nail in the coffin.
Right. The reason, though, that I don't think this was all Kristi Noem's doing is that they've created a whole new position for her still within the administration.
That's a Trump thing. That's something he didn't do in the first administration, and he paid for it. He just boot people, and then they make a media deal and write a book. He did this with what's his name, who leaked some information to the Atlantic. Remember?
Right.
He took him out of the loop, but gave him another job.
Right.
He finds a way to keep you on the team. Mm-hmm. But Kristi, one of her somebody showed me a picture of her 8 years ago. Very attractive woman.
Who? Kristi?
Kristi, no. Very attractive woman. And shows her now, and they say, talking about all the plastic surgery, all the different things. And this is, somebody who's paying too much attention at self-promotion.
Yeah. See, I never like when Republicans and conservatives start buying the portrayal the other side is making. Okay.
I didn't say where my source was.
No. Well, whoever your source is singing out of the same hymnal as the progressive left. Here's the problem. the things she did and championed and put into place in South Dakota, they're all good things. She actually did a great job in leading South Dakota. All of a sudden, she dares to hook up with Trump, and all of a sudden, oh, she's evil. She's the devil. She's
how many people have had that happen? Good people, that it's just running a federal agency is above your capacity.
Well, yeah, whether it's actually above the capacity or above what the other side wants to say is your capacity.
Yeah, but you go to Washington, you're not a Washington person in the littlest things. What happened to Scott Pruitt at EPA?
Yeah, what did she actually do, administratively speaking, that's so bad to get her fired?
Well, now I'm hearing a lot of people make characterizations. I will just say that upright. They just say she tends to go with micromanaging rather than delegating. And this is the largest agency we have is Homeland Security. And it was beyond her ability to manage in her style of management. And so they're just saying she's just not cut out. And we aren't even talking about it. Last night, the metro area got hit with tornadoes. FEMA is part of her deal. The Coast Guard answers to her.
Right.
I mean, there's just so many things.
But see, I haven't heard any complaints from the Coast Guard. I haven't heard any complaints.
We haven't had crisis yet either.
Well, right. Why? Could we not have had crisis because she's doing a good job? See, what I'm saying is basically, I'm not ready to buy the other side's argument.
But I feel like you're disparaging and labeling where my argument's coming from to discredit it.
Well, I am.
Yeah, that's cheap.
No, it's not.
When you say, "Oh, you sound like Adolf Hitler," well, now all of a sudden you're painting me as something rather than listening to my argument.
When did I say you sound like Adolf Hitler?
I'm using it as an analogy of
people watching out there was
characterizing where your argument's coming from. No,
rather than
objectively. Is the point?
I think it is objective.
Okay.
Because the people, and I'm not just saying you, I'm not speaking to you about you. Okay? I'm speaking about generally the people who are attacking Kristi Noem do not have a true. My son's in the Coast Guard.
Yes.
You know, okay.
Yeah.
No complaints. They're happy, in fact, because the first thing she did was fire all of these woke leaders they have. Many of women.
She did a lot of things right.
Okay.
A lot of things
right. And so, and the reason, I think the main reason that the left wanted her out of there, the Democrats wanted her, because she was effective. So far, I've heard no one tell me about the actual job of Homeland Security where she's failed.
Right. I'm just saying we haven't had a big natural disaster or a big terrorist threat, because both of those things would have fallen on her.
And but then that's what I'm saying is, have we not had one of those because the job that she's done has prevented us having a terrorist threat, a major
terrorist threat, but a Hurricane Katrina doesn't care about your politics. Yeah,
we haven't had one, but
that's fortunate.
But we can't judge her on something that hasn't happened.
I understand that. You know, I'm just saying she gets good grades for a natural disaster not happening, saying she's handling it. Okay,
no, we don't know. No, we don't know one or the other. So I'm not ready to throw her under the bus about something that we have not seen. Now, so far, the things she has done, she's done her department has done a great job under her leadership. Now, as far as the ad, I'm with you. That was stupid. It was a stupid mistake.
Well, Congresswoman Nancy Mace is trying to make this about a scandal. Evidently, Kristi Noem having an affair with Corey Lewandowski. And Nancy said yesterday, she says, I won't be happy until Corey Lewandowski loses his job.
Well, I thought Corey was already out of there because that happened. That came to light.
Corey's in a lower level. He's on the team.
I think they moved him out of there, though.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah, Trump moves people around.
Right. I don't think he's there, but see, Nancy Mace, I like the stance on certain issues.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean she's good on this issue.
I'm more leery about her motivation than the actual things she's saying.
Stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Is that commercial?
Yeah.
That's what I remember. We have people that want to take one side and then all of a sudden to jump and apply this over here and here and here and here.
Yeah.
And
I'm a little leery in Nancy's motivations,
right,
because she will use certain, it's almost like she's exploiting morality police on this. Based
on her being raped years ago, I think she's letting that affect her thinking on other
we
things.
all loved her when she, he hit George Stephanopoulos with a bunch of stuff, but she was still kind of pulling cheap shots.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nancy, we like you.
Okay.
I'm glad you're there, and we need that. But stay in your lane, sis. Stay in your lane. Yeah. Once you start going too broad and wide, it's just and deep. Here's the other thing, though. Now let's get to this where we really want to go. Letting Mark Wayne Mullin take over. I don't think is a bad thing. I don't have a better idea. Right. And so we'll see. We'll see. Now, it's going to be a lot different. It's not going to be as pretty as it was with Kristi Noem. And I mean, not just looks-wise. Mark Wayne just does not play. Well, Mark will come in. Is he a competent executive? You know what? He built the biggest plumbing company, taking in the state, one that was in debt to its ears, And when he took over for his dad after his dad died, and he turned it into just this amazing thing. Right. Mark Wayne has shown effectiveness in ways us in Oklahoma see that the rest of the country may not be as aware of. Exactly. So I think we're going to see it differently. He's not going to, the thing too, he will not allow the left to bully him. He will not allow the Democrats to bully him. Sean O'Brien found that out, the head president of Teamsters. By the way, they're good friends. They're good friends now. They're good friends now. Yeah. Right? So, and you know what? Good for you, Sean, and good for you, Mark Wayne. It's still. No, there were times I felt Mark Wayne could have done better as a Christian. The way he went after Matt Gaetz, because again, Matt Gaetz took down Kevin Wallace, who was not Kevin Wallace, Kevin, the speaker. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. And I can't think. Took him down. And Mullin, and I just thought, you guys are both Christians, start acting like them, Mark Wayne got a little hot in the call because Mark is a loyal man. He is. I mean, you text him yesterday? He texted you right back. What does he get from that? He's loyal to his friends. I really respect that. So anyway, I think, and FEMA, I don't know anybody in Washington better able to handle an infrastructure collapse than a guy with a plumbing empire, heating and air, electrical. He understands kilowatts like the rest of them don't. And yes, he's actually repaired, stopped up toilets himself. The funny thing is that, the day after basically it's made public that he's being appointed for this position, he still has to be approved. But anyway, we have these tornadoes come across. Yeah. So his hometown. Well, one of his hometowns. He's going to be tested immediately. I mean, he's immediately tested. So no, I think it's a good thing. I'm kind of surprised because I think a lot of people thought he was going to be a Jim Inhofe, that we were going to see him in. There's so many negative things. For example, there were stories out there that he has moved his family to Washington, D.C., and his kids are now living up there. No, he lives here in Tulsa. He, instead of D.C., he moved from rural. No, he still has the ranch out on the Arkansas border, west. Right, and he used to have one up on the what is that road?
Outside Coweta.
Outside Coweta. But now he's,
He sold that, has a Tulsa one. And really, the thing about Tulsa is it gives him more time with his family because he boards planes out of the Tulsa airport. Mm-hmm. You know, Inhofe had his own plane. He went to
I was going to say, Mark Wayne should, with his financial state now, he should buy his own plane.
Well, yeah. In fact, he was looking for a plane.
Charter.
Remember when he went way outside his, role as a senator and said, by God, we got to get these American assets out of Afghanistan. And State Department wouldn't give him a plane. They blocked his plane. You know what? Mark Wayne is a Pentecostal lay minister. He's been a missionary with a friend of mine, Jerry Morris, who's his cousin, in South America several times. And another preacher came up with a plane, Ken Copeland. Ken Copeland trusts Mark Wayne Mullin.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
first time.
Yeah, they really haven't. And I asked Jerry Morris, the missionary, he's a client of mine. I said, "Is that true?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "That's what he said." So, it's a guy who's resourceful. He is, and the most beautiful thing is Trump knows Mark Wayne's not backing down to the media.
Right.
He's proven himself for the last year. He's always accessible. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a valid part of your role now as a, national political leader.
Yeah.
You got to be able to make your argument.
And I really wish the people on the right who have held this grudge against him for January 6th would rethink it because they don't know the whole story. And it's tragedy. It's a real tragedy that what's her name got shot and killed.
Ashley Babbitt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that is a tragedy, and that should not have happened. Okay, There's a deeper story there on how and why that happened, other than that officer shooting her. The officer that shot her, I know I'm going to get bashed for this. How dare you say this? He was doing his job. It was his job to keep, and here's what finally changed my thinking. When everybody fled the congressional chamber because they heard the people were coming in, and there's videos of people just running down the hall to get, two people stayed. One was named Troy Nels. Nels, right. Nels, out of Houston.
Yep. Former sheriff.
And number two, Mark Wayne Mullin.
Yeah.
And Troy Nels did a book, and he was here at Asbury. Mike Mazie brought him in, and he spoke it.
Good.
And he had a book, and I traded books with him, and he said, and so, and the cover of the book shows the protesters breaking into the well of the Congress, okay? And they're breaking in, and you see the break, then you see guns pointed at the door. Well, Nelms was there behind the
first row chairs.
Right, what do they call it? The congressional police, or the Capitol Police.
Yeah.
They had their guns ready to shoot, and it was Nelms and Mark Wayne Mullin. They're the only two that decided to stay.
Yeah.
And they saved the lives of those people coming, because had they come through, they told them, do not come in because you will be shot. Yeah,
and Mark Wayne really took charge of that. The Capitol Police gave some bad instructions, and Mark Wayne just spoke, no, you do not get under your chair. You will be trampled. And he had them go down the tunnel and go to their offices across the street underground. But yeah, and he did stay. Now, he told me that day you and I were helping Governor Stitt with one of his rallies. I was talking to Mark Wayne in the green room about that, because he did the Pat Campbell thing, and then he stopped because he got a lot of heat for his interview with Pat Campbell the next day. But then about a year later, he agreed to go on Trey Gowdy's podcast on Fox Nation. And he went into more details. And I would recommend to our listeners, pull up the Trey Gowdy podcast. It's part of Fox Nation. It's free on your podcast app, and listen to it. He goes into greater detail, and he talks about how his wife, Christy, really challenged his thinking, because Mark Wayne didn't have the benefit of the big picture. He didn't have TV screens there. You get that fortress mentality of the the enemy is taking over our capital. And yeah, you get pretty much feeling like you're going to die a martyr or something like that. And he talks about being a non-defense government contractor overseas, but won't really talk about that. And he doesn't. I don't know, but what I do know about Mark Wayne is enough that I have a level of trust in him and his competence and his loyalty to the American people.
Yeah, I mean, what really, we've been friends for, I guess, 16 years now.
Yeah.
But what really finally showed me how legit he really is when he asked me to do the interview about why he was breaking his pledge.
That was probably the most profound thing. It was a tough thing. He tapped you, Ed, amongst everybody else.
Forget that. But what showed me is when I asked him, okay, what do you want me to ask you? Mm-hmm. He said, I don't care. Whatever you feel, you're the guy.
He trusted you.
You're the one. And then, and I was just shocked. I said, you're serious? No, whatever you feel you want to ask me or say. And I asked him about the whole deal, Senator Coburn and others feel that you're using God as a crutch or whatever, trying to blame him for you. And, he didn't care. They went on, he and his wife answered it. So it showed that the guy really, he is what he is. He's just open. I mean, he is an open book. He exudes oakiness. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is what Oklahoma really is all about. Just here I am. What you see is what you get. Yeah. And so my respect has grown more as he's gone on than diminished, because like I said, he hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. And the people who, I think a lot of people who want to hold that against him are people that really want somebody else. See, here's a part of it too. Mm-hmm. Jim Bridenstine took the pledge and kept the pledge. Yeah. But as soon as he quit, what happened? Oh, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? Yeah. Jim, we lost a good one. It's too bad that yes, I mean, just imagine if we still had Jim Bridenstine in the House representing us. Yeah. Now it's worked out. I think Kevin Hern has done a good job. I think Kevin Hern is a good person for that. Yeah. But what I'm saying, if we always followed the immediate knee-jerk reaction of our conservative side, sometimes we are our own worst enemy. Mm-hmm. We hold things against people that we shouldn't hold against them. Right. And that's all I'm saying.
Do you remember when Hugh Hewitt did a gotcha against Trump back in early the 2016 race? He says, do you support the Trident
missile
defense system principle? Well, that's something only certain people in Washington groupthink and the War College know what the Trident is. And Trump didn't really understand it. He kind of gave a roundabout answer, but you could tell Trump didn't know what he's talking about. And a lot of those guys could have gone after Trump. Marco Rubio showed class. He explained to the public what the Trident. He says that is the land, air, and sea-based nuclear missile deterrent. And then he went on, and he didn't say, Trump, you're an idiot. You're not fit for office because you don't know what that is. But I had less respect for Hugh Hewitt for pulling that stunt on him, because I didn't know. what that phrase meant.
Right.
Well, back in 2012, Mark Twain's running for Congress against George Fott, and they're having a debate.
I remember that, George Fott.
And they asked a question, do you support single-payer health insurance?
Yeah, I remember that.
And Mark Twain thinks that's, yes, I'll pay for mine, you pay for yours. That's not what it means in Washington.
Single payer.
Single payer was Hillary Clinton's view of nationalized health insurance, where the government pays all the bills.
Right. I will never, that.
Right. But you know what? I thought, Mark Twain, you're just a normal guy. And I'm like, he's one of us. Yeah. And George is a good friend of mine. Keep in mind, I've tried to help out George just because.
Oh, man. What's it? Jameson.
Yeah, his son.
Jameson, he had that blog.
Yeah, it still does, Muskogee Political.
Yeah, well, him and I don't know if it was Jameson's wife or his sister, one of whoever it was. But, man, they came after me because I supported Mark Twain. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have anything against George. It wasn't that I don't like George or this or that. It was just that I didn't know George. Yeah. And from what I saw, Mark Twain was the best candidate.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you're bringing back all those memories, and I do remember because Pat Campbell, he made a huge deal about that. And see, to show the type of person that Mark Twain is, Pat, oh my goodness, they really savaged him after that, breaking the pledge.
Yeah.
And for a long time, but what did Mark Twain? He still came back and interviewed with him, and they became friends. At his funeral,
took a while.
At his funeral, Mark Twain was one of the speakers at Pat Campbell's funeral. Mm-hmm. That shows the kind of person he is. He is. That he's willing to forgive and forget. Which brings me to another thing. This is one of my little spiritual moments. Mm-hmm. We are given the option to forgive or forget. Mm-hmm. Or forgive and forget. To me, it's not a hard decision. Forget. Just forget. Forget the forgive. Okay. Problem with a lot of, and let me try to explain a little better. I'm not doing a real good job so far, but I'll just use a personal thing. My wife always felt like forgiving is what you're supposed to do. You got to forgive, you forget. The problem is, forgiving, you keep pulling that same thing out of the bag. Okay, I forgive you now, but in the back of your head, you're thinking about when is it going to happen again? When is it going to happen again? Mm-hmm. Or you hold the wound. I forgive you for that horrible thing you did to me. Mm-hmm. There's a part of forgiving that always holds on to whatever happened to you. In forgetting, as we talk about God, taking our sins and throwing into the sea of forgetfulness, that God does not remember our sins. It's in Psalms where it says God does not remember our sins. It's true. So my thing is to forget about the sins. And this came to a reality, it was years ago. My parents one time got into this bad argument. My mother even threw a knife at my dad.
We talked last week about that.
Oh, was that last
week?
And then of course my dad leaves, and I knew I talked to somebody recently. So anyway, but after a day, they had a day where nobody spoke. It was just dead silence in the house. But all of a sudden, our second day, it was gone. It was over. It was like it never happened.
And you weren't going to bring it up, were you?
No, I was.
Because it was over. It was your misbehavior that you should have been punished for.
I didn't want to eat that breakfast she made. And she threw. Anyway, I don't want to go rehash that. But anyway, so later I found this out. And it's so funny because my wife and I will get into these crazy, weird arguments, right? And then, and just be ticked off, just mad as I wake up the next morning and I literally cannot remember what and she doesn't. We do not remember why.
Sometimes things are that petty that you can't even remember.
You can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And it was like it never happened. And that really enlightened me to understand that God forgets and we don't. And see, that's one of the problems in our Christian walk and in the whole thing with sin and so forth, that God forgets your sins. Mm-hmm. And forgiveness is not necessarily forgetting, mm-hmm. but in forgetting, there is forgiveness because you don't remember it, you don't hold it against them or whatever. And so it was so freeing to me that and that's how it is with God. We tend to even carry our own sin within us, though, and the effects of sin, mm-hmm. where we're always worried, when is it going to happen again? When am I going to do it again? Am I going to do it again? What if? And with God, it's forgotten. And all we have to do is start every day new. His mercies are new every morning, every day, every evening. And we just have to accept his forgiveness and just walk according to the way he wants us to walk today and tomorrow and the next day.
If I could,
yes,
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I do want to say, I do want to add a perspective that works for me.
All right.
And that is, I won't say who, but a family member, because I'm from a big family. Okay. So a particular family member really didn't show proper discretion, and some private things were repeated when I said specifically don't. And then a number of things, trust was broken. And it finally reached the point, and how many times she would say, you know me, I can't keep my mouth shut about things like that, And it had reached a point where it became a crisis. Now, after the crisis was averted, we're at a family reunion. We're at Yellowstone. And she's just asking me something about my kids. I said, I'm not going to talk about those things with you. She said, oh, you're still angry at me. You're bitter. I said, no, Mary. Well, see, I just said.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for you to drop.
Yeah, there I go.
Of course, none of us know who Mary is, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll call her Mary.
Mary had a little lamb.
But I said, I won't give you things that you have a hard time preventing yourself from exploiting. The same way I would not crack open a can of beer under the nose of an alcoholic trying to stay dry, I'm not going to subject you to more temptation than you can handle. And I have to finally come to terms with that is a weakness of yours, that I'm not doing you any favors by continuing to allow you free access to exploit and do harm. That's an information for my sake and for others, I don't forget those things, but I am definitely not from a position of I'm still mad or I'm going to hold it against you or I'm always going to think, but from a restorative, I want to be part of that team helping others as Christ would to be their best.
Yeah, I think we have the same idea. It's just, I think you see it a little different. So for example, I'm saying forget the offense against you that occurred today, yesterday, whatever.
Yeah, don't live
it's not there.
Don't let it live rent-free in your head.
Right. It's gone.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what you did. But if I know that your weakness is a certain area, then it's up to me to help you or whoever it was to not be put in that same position again.
Yeah.
So, for example, I trust you. Let's say Mary trusted you never to share this. Mm. But you shared it anyway. So if I know that Dave has a hard time not sharing these things, I just won't tell you, Dave, this, whatever it is again. Okay. Mm-hmm. So to me, and so in other words, the mercies are new every morning. Every day is a new day. We're starting out from scratch.
Yeah.
And so it's up to me. If I know, it's the same as alcoholic, that if I know, if you see me drinking alcohol, mm-hmm. and that's going to set you off on not being able to say no to it, mm-hmm. I don't need to be drinking alcohol in front of you.
Yeah.
If it's pornography, it's this, whatever it is, whatever, money things, you know, if I tempt you financially.
Right.
But so I have to then say, oh, Dave has an issue with this mm-hmm. particular area. So I'll just stay away from that area and we'll deal with this, and this. Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm holding against you this offense.
Yeah.
That you took against me, or I took against you.
Here's another way, wrapping this up. Eddie, you as a disciple, you owe it in your obedience to God to forgive, right? But trust is something you must use discretion in granting. You shouldn't be so distrustful and bitter and suspicious of people because your heart's not right then, nor should you be gullible and just openly trusting. Eddie, I did this podcast every day with you for years, and then you finally gave me a key to the inside door. And then I worked for a few more years, and now I got a key to the outside door. Okay, I earned that. That's your discretion.
Yeah,
okay, that's an example of incremental trust builds. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're joking.
Well, no.
But it is a good analogy, isn't it?
Yeah. You're thinking better. Yeah, you made a good analogy out of me just forgetting to give you the key to the door. You're giving me more credit.
See, I didn't want a key to the door for the longest time because there's a responsibility comes with it.
Right. But see, I never thought of it. I never suspected of you coming in cleaning out my office or the building.
No.
But I do. It is a good analogy. I mean, it is a good analogy of earning trust and so forth.
And you have a responsibility to God to use discretion, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, I'll give you another example. We're giving you all these nice little examples. Mark Wayne Mullin.
Yeah.
Again, when he decided before he was making it, he called me and says, Eddie, will you pray with Christy and I about whether I should break my term limits pledge? Okay. I said, well, I thought about it a second, I don't know if I need to pray about this. I think I know what my answer is, but I said, okay. So, about 4 weeks later, he calls me. So what do you think? Did you pray? Oh yeah, I prayed about it. What do you think? I said, I don't think you should do it. And I said, not because I don't believe in term limits. That's for clarity, for people to know. I don't believe in, because then you get rid of somebody like Jim Bridenstine, and you're upset that you lost a good one, right? But anyway, so that's one of my reasons. But I said, I don't believe in term limits, but if you break it, they will never forgive you. I saw what was coming. I said, people will not understand, and they're going to give you a hard time, and they won't forgive you for breaking your term limits pledge. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's my reasoning. Mm-hmm. He says, okay, well, thank you. So then he says, okay, then I get a call a couple of weeks later. We're going to do this interview. We want you to interview us about this, my decision. So he has me come down, and it's like 60 minutes. I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be. Wasn't even going to wear a tie. My wife said, you better wear a tie. I said, well, you think so? We're just going to go down here and sit there. Well, I get there, I walk in, they've got these giant lights, studio lights, and 3 cameras set up, the whole deal, and send me over. There's makeup over there. And next thing I know, somebody putting makeup on me, and So anyway, so I did the interview, okay? Mm-hmm. And Margaret said, okay, this is, to be kept private. We're going to release this down the line. So sure enough, I didn't mention anything. I was still on the radio at the time.
Yeah.
And I never mentioned it. Well, when the day happened, he was going to make the announcement. I get a call at 6:55 in the morning. Eddie, it's Mark Wayne. The video is coming out in 5 minutes. I just wanted you to be aware. And I'm thinking, why do I need to be aware? What do I need to be aware?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, 7:05, the phone rings and it's Pat Campbell. Dude, dude, why didn't you tell me that you did this interview? I said, because I gave my word that I wouldn't tell you. You know what the response was? Oh, but it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but anyway, I'm just saying there's, you've got to know the situation and deal with that. Now, again, getting back to the thing that I think really initially started this, as far as forgetting and forgiving, okay?
Yeah.
As I said, I learned this from my parents, my dad in particular. He did this. My mother would just go off sometimes. It's her Germanness.
Yep.
And I was afraid they're going to get a divorce, the whole deal. But
wow,
it was forgotten. It was just like it never happened. And I'm sitting there saying, what? So when I got married, by the way, Dave, 50 years this year.
Whoa.
50 years. The big 50. Can you believe it? I've been married.
Congratulations.
To the same woman, by the way. A lot of people have been married 50 years, about 5 times. No, but anyway, and I've learned it. And my wife, she came from a different background where, they were always having to apologize and get over it and and I've seen that that's good, but somewhere in the back of their mind, just like you always do, or just like you did last time, or when you're going to do it again, you can't wash it from your mind. You're just worried about this person doing this thing to you again, or, but I learned from my parents, and that's why finally it took probably 20 of those 50 years, maybe more, before my wife really realized it as well. Because she used to get on me because I didn't want to sit there and hash it out. And I said, what's hashing it out going to do? It's just going to make us mad again. Yeah. I mean, that's how I said, we start rehashing the deal, but I forgot it. I don't even remember what I was mad about, or what did I do? It's just, and so I realized that in the forgetting, the forgiveness is already.
I think there's a proper place where what you're saying is true. I think what I pointed out, you don't disagree with, and you admit there are ways you implement that too.
Yeah. I mean, the thing to do is, when I'm saying you forget that offense, it doesn't mean that you may not have the propensity to do whatever you do. Yeah. And I need to be prepared to avoid that or avoid that from happening. But that doesn't mean, just like you did a year ago, just like you did.
It goes to the issue of trust. And any parent knows this, is you have to know where your kid is at and what level of trust is prudent.
Yeah.
You don't keep blaming them for throwing up on the carpet back when they were 3 years old. Or blowing out their diaper. You just let it go.
You're peeing in the middle of the living room in front of your friends.
So anyway, but listen, we got to talk about this, the musical chairs. So the problem in Oklahoma is, for a long time, our law said we just call for a special election when it is, part of our DC delegation.
We talked about this last week, and we weren't sure what the rule is.
No, we talked on the phone.
Oh, it was on the phone.
Okay. And I've gotten some clarity on it. By the way, Trey Savage, non-doc, did a pretty good write-up on this. So what the law that finally made it in the book said is, yes, the governor has that authority. And to quote Blogo, it's effing gold. It ain't going to give it for free. But what our legislature insisted was, you don't do like Blogo is, you give somebody an incumbentship, which means for the next 50 years, we're likely to have that dinosaur in the Senate.
Right.
Is they decided they'd try something novel that probably is unconstitutional. And that is the person who gets the appointment must sign a statement saying they are never going to run for that office.
Oh, I think never is stepping a little bit over there.
Or even immediately, because this appointment is going to happen here in this next few weeks. Mm-hmm. And they will officially have the appointment as of April 1st. And 10 days later, guess what? Filing opens for that next term of that very office. And the question's going to be, is whoever gets appointed, are they going to then break their pledge less than a month and say, it's my right to run? Because Congress has cracked down on states such as Oklahoma that we passed a term limits on our congressional delegation. Mm-hmm. And they said, no, the Constitution says that's the purview of the House and Senate to state their own. And our Constitution has rules for that.
And our House and State have never ruled on
it. The Supreme Court has. And struck down term limits, including Oklahoma's term limits on our congressional delegation. Said in your state government, you can make those rules, but not on the federal offices.
I see what you're saying. Right.
Like, for instance, you don't have to live in the first district to run for Congress.
Right.
In the first district.
But what you're saying is that you just want that person to be able to run again as soon as that term runs out.
I'm saying,
so for example, this person has 6 months. They should be allowed to throw their name in the hat. I think that's the federal government's argument. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
It also means that it's a Republican held seat going into November.
Right.
Okay. So now, who is Stitt going to appoint? And here's one.
You got your candidates?
Yeah. In fact, I talked to some politicos on the way to the studio this morning. People you know and trust, but I promised them I would not say who.
Oh, but you can tell me.
No, no.
Yeah.
I've already exposed one person that I said I wouldn't on today's show.
Oh, who is that? I wasn't paying attention.
I know.
Did she have a little lamb?
But anyway,
I'm sorry.
Now, yesterday, somebody from Tulsa called in on the Charlie Kirk show, mm-hmm. Turning Point, and it mentioned the same thing and said, Governor Stitt could appoint himself. But the guys at Turning Point says, Pop, that hasn't been received very well in the past.
Yeah, I don't think we would be
But
received
in this case, it might be okay because they're saying, I'm not going to run again. We need a placeholder who's not a political novice or idiot, has shown some ability, is up to speed on the issues.
Well, then what happens in the governorship?
Okay,
and he puts Matt Pinnell up to...
Exactly. And Pinnell and I had this discussion because I said to him 2 years ago, I said, what's his problem with Trump? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, sucks for him.
So what?
And Matt said, sucks for me. Because I said Stitt could get an appointment to federal government. Now, this wasn't what we had in mind, but it has the same effect.
Do you think he could appoint Matt Pinnell?
Definitely can.
To Mullin's place?
Definitely can. I think it makes more sense for Stitt to appoint himself to finish out that term. Because listen, what you've got going on in this election cycle is our top 2 state offices. Those guys are going away and have no public office.
Let me ask you this.
Plans.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter either way because it's Congress. I was thinking if he moved Hearn into the seat and then had placed somebody else in Hearn's place, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to be.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that, what happens with who does file in mid-April. Mm-hmm. That's a separate thing. But if Pinnell moves up to governor. Then Pinnell finishes the rest of the year as the incumbent. Right. Does Matt then decide 2 weeks later, you know what? I'm going to file. Because that was the thing I talked to Matt about a couple of years ago. Then you could have the incumbency, and that would really help your viability to run for office. And he's up against multimillionaires. I mean, McCall and Gettner Drummond. And then Chip Keating is starting to get some ground. He's running. And that's not even to mention, Mike Mazzei from Tulsa here, who I think, for my money, is probably the best choice right now anyway.
I saw he's number 2 now.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the musical chairs. If Stitt just himself or Pinnell, then you've got a vacancy there that it's not a big deal to handle just the rest of the year, because you've always got this succession. Remember when we had our terrible windstorm, Pinnell and Stitt were both out of state. Greg Treat didn't know he was acting governor. And remember our friend Kelly Dunkerley was like, we need an emergency declaration and we can't get a hold of anybody. And ends up Greg Treat was in town. He's okay, I'll come down there, do it at the courthouse. So anyway, but the bigger picture is, because remember, Mark Wayne Mullin's seat was up for re-election this year anyway. Right. Because he was just filling out the rest of Jen Inhofe's term that he won back in 2020. Right. All right. So who runs? I'm saying Kevin Hern is in. He's going to run for a seat that starts next year. Okay. He'd be on the ballot in November. I think he's in. Who else is in? For U.S. Senate, I don't know. So Stephanie Bice, maybe. Oh, she's looking at it.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you real quick. Hern, you're talking about for U.S. Senate.
U.S. Senate.
Okay. Because there's been hints that he really is interested in governor. So I'm wondering if he wouldn't be. Here's an alternative theory. Okay.
Yeah.
Pinnell gets appointed it's the other way around. That Hern gets appointed for the Senate seat. And then in 6 months, then he switches and goes for governor, and Pinnell goes for the Senate.
Yeah. See, I just don't think any of these people want to have things that loose and constantly changing. You use incumbency for a reason. It's gold, right? Mm-hmm. But
if whoever gets appointed now can't run anyway, are you saying you don't think that's going to stand? You think somebody's going to challenge that?
Say that again.
You said you don't believe it's constitutional for that the person can't run again.
The other name being mentioned, and he's really self-promoting, getting out there, is the billionaire Harold Hamm, the oil man. And he wants it. He does want it. If he ran, I've seen this happen up in Minnesota, where millionaires run, and people feel like they bought the office.
Yeah.
And I can't see Harold. I mean, his divorce is kind of ugly. There's just a lot of things. Yeah. I don't think Harold would want to damage his legacy for something like that. I think Harold would just say, yep, I'm finishing out the year, filling in. The state has a need. I had the ability to step up and do it. I still think Governor Stitt is the better person to move over there. Okay. Believe it or not, your friend, Donnell Harder.
Really?
Yeah. Stitt likes to appoint people who've been faithful to him. And Hilliary is another guy that's on his staff that's been rumored. So those are a couple of names from within the Stitt machine. But yeah, and you know Danelle, I've met her. She's a fantastic person.
Yeah, she used to work for Inhofe.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. That strengthens her because Inhofe was a U.S. Senator.
Yeah. Well, see, that's how I met her.
Yeah.
She used to call me on his behalf all the time, and then we became friends. So that's interesting. Yeah, she's a wonderful person, too.
She really
nice.
She impresses me a lot.
She's a very nice person.
Her people skills are really good. So I'm saying 4 names, the 2 Stitt people, Hilliary, Danelle Harder, Harold Hamm, and then Stitt himself. And if he does himself, then that really is a big favor to Matt Pinnell.
Yeah, that moves Matt.
Big favor to Matt Pinnell. So Matt Pinnell can always say, I'm a former governor, you know, but no, for Pinnell, you know, well, anyway, so let's talk about who files for office. And here I've got a bunch of names. Hearn definitely would be in for it. Stephanie Bice is interested in it. The problem is Stephanie barely won re-election to her own seat. In fact, if it wasn't for outside of Oklahoma County, you had just a few others, she would have lost to the Democrat.
Now, you talking about for senator or governor?
I'm talking about for the Senate seat.
Coming up in the fall.
Yeah,
okay.
Bice,
right.
I think you pretty much have your field for governor. Okay. The only thing different would be is if Pinnell got the appointment and decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot.
Probably have a few people dropping out at that point.
I don't know. They're there's a lot of money and people fully invested. Mm-hmm. The big names, of course, being Drummond, McCall, Mazie, and Keating, Chip Keating. Those are the big names that I see in there, and they all have pretty good machines and well connected. So if Kevin Hearn runs, here's the next thing. Oh, and I don't know that our friend Josh Burkeen would look at, but I don't think he would. I think Hearn has the better.
Yeah, I think Josh might eventually want to follow in the footsteps of Mark Wayne and go to the Senate.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
It is, you got maybe, I don't think Cole or Lucas are looking at
Josh. All I have to say is nothing but good things about Josh Burkeen. Right? Yeah. Okay, I think he'd be a wonderful choice.
He reminds me a lot of Mullin. Yeah. They're both very blue collar guys.
He's just a little more polished.
Who is
Burkeen?
Really?
Than Mark Wayne. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Wayne's a great friend of mine.
Yeah,
but he has not yet quite mastered the language.
No, but boy. This year, being in front of media every day.
Oh, I know. No, I know. Oh. I mean, to see where he came from. When we first met down in Tahlequah back in 2011, okay, to where, I mean, it's a totally, well, and see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it.
Yeah.
The goods he has, in other words, the mindset, the character, all of that, to me, overrides your eloquence, because who's the most eloquent person you know that you don't trust a word coming out of their mouth?
Yeah, and I have to say,
well, who would you say?
Oh, I don't know.
Barack Obama.
Yeah, I was going to say Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I think he's dropped a few steps even on that.
Right,
But everybody talks about, how wonderful.
Yeah.
He's an articulate black person. He's an articulate black person.
Well, if he's got a teleprompter, yes.
Yeah.
But off the cuff, he stutters him. Yes.
He knows how to read a teleprompter at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I want to say with Mark Wayne, like middle of the week, he got a briefing on the war, an intelligence briefing. He come out and talks to the media. And they talked about a horrendous situation, right off the bat. One of the reporters says, this is war. Well, then later, another media person says, so Trump has declared war then? No, I never said that. Well, yeah, you just said this. He says, okay, I probably shouldn't use that term. Mullin had the humility to own it.
Right.
And that's important.
Right, yeah.
Especially in D.C., because humility is not come in spades in D.C.
Yeah.
So, even if he screws up, he's like, yeah, I probably should have said that differently, Well, and keep in mind, they've been at war with us, so he wasn't wrong.
Right.
He just played into it.
Again, to me, it goes back to George W. Bush, who also was not necessarily the most eloquent president we've ever had.
Yeah.
Yet, compared to the competition and the things you trusted, but I mean, I still to this day, I trust George W. Bush.
Yeah.
And just the person he is, his family, his wife, all of that. But so sometimes we put things on people that are superfluous. We just accept things that I think really don't have anything to do. Again, getting back to the whole issue, of what really constitutes a good senator, a good congressperson, a good whatever, right? Kristi Noem even, is she doing the job? Yeah. She may have some foibles here and there, but in the grand scheme of things, this is the person you want. The ultimate is Donald Trump. I mean, if you really want to look at it, he's got hoof and mouth disease like no person that we've ever known in public office. Yeah. And yet we trust him because we know it's legit. The thing, whatever he says, you can count on it. Yeah. See, that to me is the real issue. That's the real important thing. And we probably should wrap it up, Dave. We've been going almost 3 hours today.
Let me just say one more thing here is Hearn running for the Senate. My choice, and somebody you respect, says it's a done deal. And he says, by the way, Stitt will also run in November for that. For that Senate seat, according to this person. And so will David Holt, mayor of Oklahoma City, who's really, in my mind, really close. I mean, if there's a rhino in the state, it's David Holt. But so you've got those. But here's the thing. The 1st District House seat, you got G.T. Bynum likely to run, Vic Regalado likely to run, Monroe Nichols likely to run.
Right. The only thing is, as far as, what's his name? Name him again.
For 1st District?
Right.
So 1st District, you could get, here's some others. Matt Pinnell, John Doak, Nathan Dahm.
What was the first batch you named?
G.T. Bynum.
Not G.T. Oh, yeah. Forget him.
Who's next? Monroe Nichols.
Nope.
Okay. Vic Regalado. Really? Okay. So I'm just
now listen. Let me just say this. Vic is a good friend. Okay. Yeah. He's a good friend. I love her. He's a good.
We both admire him.
The problem is his name recognition outside of Tulsa County is not that large. Statewide. No,
I'm talking about for House District 1.
Oh, okay.
District 1. These are all District 1 candidates. GT, Monroe, Vic Regalado, Matt Pinnell could run for it. John Doak might run for it. They're all Tulsans. Nathan Dahm might. Salee, County Commissioner Salee. Those are all names being thrown in for that.
Well, I might as well run in.
Well, he did say that you should. And I said...
Who said I should?
And I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't read the rest of it. And I said, now you've just discredited your own gravitas, if you have any. And he said, and then I read the rest. He said, you should challenge Lori Wright again on the Tulsa City Council. So there you go. But he said, Kevin Hearn will not resign his current House seat. He's going to finish this up. So he does not think Hearn is going to... And this is a person whom Kevin Hearn has sought the counsel of in the past when Inhofe announced his resignation. At that time, he didn't say, yeah, you should run for it. He says, you're looking at the wrong race. He says, Langford is the weak candidate. But they don't want to challenge an incumbent.
Yeah, I don't
and boy, we do need a replacement there.
Yeah, we do.
Because Mark Wayne, coming in green as a freshman, junior senator, has really made Langford look bad. So anyway, I needed to get through all of that because to me, that's a big thing going on, and it's all going to take place in less than a month.
I know.
Yep.
It's coming upon. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed today's program. We appreciate your notes, good, bad, and ugly. Just go to freshblackcoffee@gmail.com.
Yep.
And we will, I promise you, respond, okay? But just let us know and advise us, whatever. We're not too proud. We're not too proud.
Yep.
So, but we do thank you. Pray for Israel.
Yeah.
Don't attack Israel. That's all I've got to say. That's all I got to say. Biblically, do not attack, rather pray for Israel, okay? And other than that, pray for Dave and I.
Pray for the Kurds.
The Kurds and Mark Wayne Mullin in his new position, and whoever that God would choose the man to take his place in U.S. Senate. Okay?
And the citizens of Iran.
Yes. To liberate them. Set them free, Amen. Lord. Set them free. The Persians have been the friends of Israel for time immortal.
They restored Israel when it was a wasteland.
Exactly. Darius and Cyrus and
Kurash, as
all the us's up there. You, me, and us's.
Yep.
All right. I'm rambling now. Hey, God bless everybody, and we look forward to speaking to you again next week, Lord willing.